Welcome to Event 3 and welcome back to our coverage, because now we're going racing. It is time to get out at Mexico City and also then to go to Brazil. Of course, Barry Boremund managed to secure pole position in Mexico, whilst Thomas Ronhart was fastest of them all in Brazil. Now it is time to see whether they are able to convert those pole positions to victory. And it is looking close. Lots of competition up and down the field. And of course, in that championship battle, it is tightening up as well. Let's have a little look at how the standings currently are. In our drivers' standings, we have Freddie Rasmussen still leading the way with 115 points, with Barry Boremund behind on 75, Jarno Opmeer on 71, and Thomas Ronhart on 69, getting that extra point for that pole position. Lucas Blakely follows with Ismail Farsi, Alfie Butcher, Nicolas Onge, Josh Edo, and Brendan Lee rounding out the top 10. Then we move to a bit further down. We have Daniel Berejne, Jake Benham, Jed Norgrove, Tom Manley, Wilson Hughes, Alvaro Carrington with 8 points. And then we get down to those who have not scored quite as many yet. And then we make our way all the way down to those who are yet to put any points on the board. And when we have a little look at our constructors' standings, it is Red Bull who are leading the way with 150 points. 20 behind them is Mercedes. Ferrari sitting on 121, Kick F1 with 101, and then those who haven't quite hit that 100 mark, McLaren, Williams, Haas, AlphaTauri, Alpine and Aston Martin. That is how things are shaping up at the moment. Lots to play for, lots of points still for grabs. And that's what makes it all the more exciting. We're just going to grab a microphone there. We are here to chat with some of the team members who are, of course, all gearing up now for the races. Joining us now, we've got an ambassador from Aston Martin. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Drivers are preparing at the moment, and they're looking forward to the race. Qualifying was a bit hard, of course, in Mexico, but they feel confident for the race, so we think we can get a good result there.
Tell us a little bit about the break between Event 2 and Event 3. Of course, we had about 2 weeks for everyone to go back, reset and recharge. What did you and the team do in that time?
Well, we all came together at the facility and we brought more people over just to make sure we can work together and discuss in a better way instead of online, just being all together in the same room. So I spent there a couple of days as well, just do as much as they want as well, and now engineering them. So I've both have been on the driver's side and now on the engineering side, so I know what they can do. I've driven with them, so I know their capabilities, and hopefully that pays off.
Fingers crossed. Now, you mentioned qualifying. Of course, Mexico didn't go quite as well as you may have wanted, but anything can happen in esports, as we always see. How are the drivers feeling as they just warm up there?
Well, I think in Mexico, of course, there's a very long way from the starting grid until turn 1. So tire compound will be very important to decide whether you want to gain a lot at the start or risk it and maybe lose some positions. So, obviously can't tell what we're going to do. But
oh, come on.
But, I think we should be all right.
And what about looking ahead to Brazil? Because that was something quite exciting. Simon Weigang absolutely pulling a lap out of the bag there.
Yeah, we're not sure how he did it. Maybe he barely slept, he said, last night. But apparently it works for him. So maybe a new sleep schedule for him there is. But no, it's a very good qualifying P3, of course. And he usually gets a bit unlucky at the back of the grid. Now starting up front, of course. So yeah, he and we are very confident that he will get some good results and hoping podium, keeping it like that.
Fingers crossed for you. Thank you so much for chatting with us. Claire, who have you managed to find?
Thank you. I've come down to McLaren to speak to Joel Chapman, the team manager at McLaren, Shadow. Your drivers had a bit of a mixed qualifying ahead of Mexico. You've got Lucas in 7th and you have Wilson that's down in 19th, unfortunately. A bit of a different day for both of them. Let's talk about Wilson first. He was clearly disheartened by that.
Yeah, he was, but I mean, he knows how close he was to to getting through to Q2. Same sort of position for us in Brazil as well. He was so close to getting through. So a couple of sort of minor mistakes in the lap, and it's cost him getting through. So I mean, he's in a position where he can do some kind of interesting strategy to try and get himself into the points, take some of the pressure off in the race. So I'm confident he'll move through the field and get as close to the points as he can.
Is he a driver that puts a lot of pressure on himself when he maybe hasn't performed as well as he could have?
Yeah, naturally, there's frustration because he knows he's better than P19. He knows he was so close to getting through to Q2 and potentially even Q3 as well. So there's always frustration, a 10-minute period where drivers may beat themselves up a little bit, but they sort of recover, bounce back, and especially in this format as well, where you do have to bounce back because there are so many sessions almost back to back. You can't dwell on things for too long.
And Lucas seems to have come out a bit guns blazing. He seems really revved up for the next couple of days.
Yes, I mean, it's a series of tracks that Lucas enjoys and knows he can be extremely competitive on. I've seen how hard he's worked during the gap between the two events. So, he's come here with expectations that he puts on himself to deliver some good results. And I mean, he's always there and thereabouts. And he's also a fantastic driver in the race as well. He's someone that, is capable of moving through the field and gaining positions. So, hoping for a strong kind of final set of results for Lucas over this event.
The drivers have said chaos. Are we going to see chaos?
Yes, I think especially as we're starting to get to the kind of sharp end of the championship now, there's some teams that are, fighting for essentially the championship that are up there together. Naturally, I think some of the niceties from earlier in the season will start to fade away a little bit, and teams will start to really get their elbows out, which, for teams in our position where we're slightly behind those leading teams, provides opportunity because we can ideally capitalise on teams, really battling out for the championship.
It's going to be a good race. I'm looking forward to it. Joel, thank you so much. Ariana, who have you found?
So we just finished qualifying. It was a very successful qualifying for me and Barry, finishing P1 and P3. I'm so happy for him to get the pole position and that extra point, which is very crucial for the championship, of course.
Personal improvement in the second sector, purple in the first. Across the line comes Longue, goes fastest immediately, a 1:14.650.
Hopefully some teamwork in the air is going to happen. But in Mexico, anything can happen. Every year the race here is chaotic, so I think we will have a great race.
I mean, this is exactly what we want to see in F1 sim racing. I mean, we've got two championship contenders, currently Ps1 and Ps2 in the title race. Ferrari and Red Bull going at it for the Constructors' title. This is truly fascinating.
Well, in this track, it's very easy actually to get an invalidation or a warning and just get penalties in the race. You have to cut the corners in specific ways, and it's just very risky if you want to push to the limits. So consistency will be key in the race. But also what I like about the track is that it's very easy to overtake, or there's a lot of possibilities and opportunities. Turn one, obviously, with a very, very big straight, and the last sector with the hairpin is also very, very fun place to make some moves. So I'm sure we will see a lot of them today.
Coming through now the stadium section once again, the Iranian looking to try and power on through and potentially enlist a pole time that will take him from being second best to fastest here at this circuit in Mexico. Coming across the line, he does go fastest for now.
And before we get racing, we have time for one more little chat. I have with me Seb Kawaka from Kick F1 team. Let's start with the exciting news. Your man is on pole position in Brazil. How does it feel?
Very good. Very relieving as well. And it was a fantastic lap. He already did it with his first lap, and then he just added another one on top of it. So it was just incredible.
I was saying when we were on the desk earlier, it seemed that the team were just very confident through that Q3. We saw and heard our casters questioning, have they got enough time to do this? And you gave us a little thumbs up, a nice confident, don't worry about us. Sounds like things are going well in the camp.
They definitely are. The Q3 was our plan, pretty much from sort of the middle of Q2. Once we knew that with the first Q2 lap we were going to be through, we knew we had 3 sets of tyres. Why waste one in Q2 when we can have 3 bites of the cherry at it? And it worked in our favour because the more opportunities you get, the more chances you can give yourself, the better the result.
Absolutely, and you've got the best result possible there. How confident are you that we can convert that pole to the victory? Because there's such tight competition in esports. But are you feeling good?
Very much so, yes. obviously at this level, anything can happen. And it's always a matter of centimeters, milliseconds, everything. But with the pace and the consistency that Thomas has had, both in practice but also in the qualifying session here today, we are very confident for Brazil, for sure.
Oh, I like this energy, I really do. Now, of course, that's Brazil, but before we get to that, we've got to go racing in Mexico. The driver's starting a little bit further back for that. Talk to us about how you reflect on that qualifying.
It was a good qualifying. We were very happy that it was dry.
Yes.
Always makes things a bit easier. And then, went without a hitch in Q1 and Q2. Few tiny issues in Q3, but it would be silly to complain about a P4 qualifying.
Oh, absolutely. What do you think that the drivers are capable of in that Mexico race, given the fact that they're starting a little bit further back? Brendan as well, out of the top 10.
For Brendan, it's going to be, I think, an interesting race. I don't want to give too much away, but in terms of strategy, we might do something a little bit off, a little bit different, a little bit off color, let's say. And with Thomas from P4, Mexico is the kind of track where your strategy ultimately, it can matter, but what is the most crucial is the DRS, because you have 2 DRS zones with 1 detection point. So if you can overtake on the first one, you still get it for the second one as well. It's absolutely vital there. And one thing we were saying internally, whoever gets the most DRS over the course of the 36 laps, probably going to win.
Well, there you have it. Thank you so much, Seb. Of course, you've got that lovely long run down to the first corner in Mexico as well. So lots of opportunity there. Thank you for joining us. Good luck to your drivers and team for these races. It is time to get racing underway. It's event 3 and we're about to go racing for the first time. George and Hayden, please take it away.
Built in the Magdalena Mixhuca Public Park in 1959, Mexico City would announce its arrival on the Formula One scene in 1962, hosting its very first Grand Prix. Whilst the circuit harnesses the hearts of hundreds and thousands of Mexican Formula One fans each year, it is one Jana Watmir who holds the perfect wins record here, taking 3 wins in 3 races each season since the race was introduced to the Formula One calendar back in 2020, in sim racing, of course. Though back-to-back runner-up Barry Burremand would be hoping to go one step further this time around, especially after achieving pole position in qualifying this morning. But obviously, given the fact that there are many drivers looking to try and escalate their own positions through the course of this circuit, I'm sure we're going to be seeing lots of action. Here is the circuit in itself. We have got over 110,000 capacity around this track. 1959, as I said, was when it was broken ground, then opened up later on that year. 2.674 miles, 4.304 kilometres, 19 turns, 2 very decent straights with DRS applied, and not to mention a very technical middle sector. We're going to be in for a real treat, folks. We will be taking a little look, though, at the starting grid, of course, for this fascinating Mexican Grand Prix. Patrick Sheepos starts in the back for Alpine, P20, Wilson Hughes in 19th. Further up, in 18th place, it's Alpine counterpart Ruben Pedreño, Ulas Ozyuldarim in 17th spot. Further up, in 16th is Fabrizio Donoso Delgado with Jed Norgrove starting in 15th. 14th place for John Evans, Tom Manley, rookie this season, starting in 13th. In 12th spot is Brendan Lee, lining up alongside Ismael Fassi, barely outside the Q3 shootout. Alvaro Caraton, though, his teammate would start P10. Danny Berejne starting P9 for Mercedes. Further up is Jana Watmir, the Flying Dutchman, now aligned with Lucas Blakely on the same row of the grid. 2 champions look at a duel heading in towards turn 1. It's going to be fascinating. Alfie Butcher, the Challengers champion, in 6th. Josh Ido starts in 5th spot for Red Bull. further up, second row of the grid. Thomas Ronhaar lines up on 4th spot. We heard from Seb Kowalski just now. Nicholas Longe alongside him in 3rd. And then the front row, it is Freddie Rasmussen 2nd, Barry Burman 1st on pole position. The battle that we saw take place at Zandvoort renewed here at Mexico City, and it's going to be absolutely fascinating to see how it pans out. Now, your commentary team here is, of course, myself, George Morgan, joining me alongside, as always, Hayden Gullis. And Hayden, we've got to take a look back at last year, because there is one man on the front row of the grid who is obviously one of the talking points. He's leading the championship. But how about the dice he had with Thomas Ronhaar around this very circuit last season, and both of them fighting for the title? And I believe we do have some footage to look at with regards to this as well.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, Freddie Rasmussen, one of the most consistent drivers, always keeps his head, but, you know, a glimpse of what we never really see. Freddie Rasmussen losing that head and just sending it straight over the corner into the side of Thomas Ronhaar on turn 5 there, and then grabbing the camera as well. Completely fed up with the driving standards, I think I remember, of Thomas Ronhaar in that race, and just got a little bit frustrated with him and decided to send it into the side of the driver. I've checked the weather on all of the drivers' screens. No rain is coming throughout this race. It's going to be dry all the way, and we're going to have a great shootout. But they'll be looking to keep their heads this time around. Make sure they don't get caught up in any collisions, because Freddie has been so consistent, and he needs to keep that consistency up over the rest of this season. Yes, he's leading the championship, and by a considerable amount of points as well. But all it takes, something like that, he got a huge penalty because of it, and he could easily have that gap closed in.
Yeah, he certainly will. And Jarno Opmeer, who does, of course, start further down the grid this time around, is going to have a challenge on his hands to become a 4-time back-to-back race winner here around this circuit. But all 5 lights are lit, and it's pedal to the metal. And it is go, 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 go. Barry Burman off the line. So is Freddie Rasmussen in behind. Thomas Ronhaar getting the jump on Nicholas Longe. That could be key as they head down in towards turn 1 now. We got effectively a 3-wide scenario. Ronhaar around the outside. No way! Surely not! It's Ronhaar who leads, heading through towards turn 2, out of turn 3. Absolutely unbelievable as they come out of the Solana S's. It's Ronhaar who has taken down 2, and he takes P1.
That was incredible. The other 3 just too busy sorting each other out in that championship fight. Completely forgot about Thomas Ronhaar. Swooped around the outside, took the race lead. Further back, we got Jarno Opmeer dicing it into the double right-hander. He's going wheel to wheel with, I believe, the Red Bull driver Josh Edu. Yes, he is, and he has to settle position. But look at that wheel-to-wheel between Lucas Blakely and Alfie Butcher, just having to settle in for the moment. Mixed strategies throughout the field. We've got the top 3 currently on soft tyres. Alfie Butcher also on softs. Nicholas Longe, though, opting for hard tyres. He's going to go long into this race, then opt for the softs later on and try and catch back up through the field. A couple of drivers on mediums, Ishmael Fassi and Alvaro Caraton, as they're fighting now in towards sector 3.
Yeah, intriguing strategy as far as Longe is concerned. You're absolutely spot on, Hayden. Hard tyres, but in P4. It could be key. Obviously, that aided Thomas Ronhaar in getting the jump on everybody. Of course, he is on the fastest soft tyre, but so was Burman, so was Rasmussen. What a launch from Thomas Ronhaar as you now see the cars start their lap 2. Alfie Butcher on the attack as well, now gets himself past Nicholas Longe, heading in towards turn 1. What an unbelievable getaway for one Thomas Ronhaar. Now 4/10 clear of Burman in 2nd place, Rasmussen in 3rd, Butcher now occupying that 4th spot, 1.2 outside of that P3 position. Obviously, if you're over a second, you will not get DRS on lap 3. He'll need to try and close that gap as down the inside comes Lucas Blakely on Nicholas Longe, and he now takes P5.
Smart from Nicholas Longe there. No need to fight for that position. He's on hards. Lucas Blakely is on softs. The intelligent thing to do would to be hold on to the back of Lucas Blakely for as long as possible. Alfie Butcher having to burn the battery just outside that 1 second window. Needs to get within it. Otherwise, he's just going to be a sitting duck later on. He needs to close up to that top 3 and really be in a fight for the race win if he can do so. If he doesn't, then that race win is sadly going to slip away from him. Ishmael Fassi now on the back of Nicholas Longe as well. He's on better tyres than Longe. He's on mediums, so another fight that Longe might avoid in this race.
Yeah, fantastic initial 2 laps. It's soon to become 3 laps as we get the next one underway. Lucas Blakely, we're currently occupying a look, well, from up in the sky, looking down on the Papaya McLaren. He's just taken the fastest lap of the race so far, a 1:17.516, as he looks to grind further and further closer. And obviously Alfie Butcher is next on his list as well. Ishmael Fassi now moves past Nicholas Longe. as Hayden so rightly said. Obviously, it's the case that with Fassi and everyone else who has ascended past the Ferrari, they are on faster tyres. Longuet can wait it out. Obviously, just needs to try and stay within DRS, just maintain the pace levels, because when the pit stops come out, he's going to have the faster rubber. And, you know, the race should come to him, because he would have done a large portion of this race.
Yeah, let's take a look at the race start and watch how it unfolded. Look out for the kit car, the green kit car in the left-hand side of your screens. Gets a nice slipstream behind the leaders. Longuet obviously not getting a great launch off the line, being on those hard tyres, and Ronhard got him straight away. Then opted for the outside line and just had that great slipstream. Must have burnt the battery, just swooped right around the outside. Had nothing to lose in that scenario. Barry backed out of it, thought wise for him. Let's have a look at an onboard. This is going to look incredible from Thomas Ronhard. Picks up the slipstream. A little bit of contact there with Nicolas Longuet, but I think no damage would have come from it. Then gets a great tow from the Red Bull car of Freddie Rasmussen, moves to the outside. He's burning his battery, as you can see, later on the brakes than the Ferrari driver. The Ferrari driver compromised being on that inside line, and Thomas Ronhard just had a fantastic drive through there to move himself into the lead. Notably as well, Alfie Butcher still yet unable to catch up that 1 second gap. He's going to now need to start to fight with Lucas Blakely, or work together with Lucas Blakely to catch up these three front runners who look like they're working together to try and move away from Lucas Blakely and Alfie Butcher. Ismail Fassi holding on to the back of them, and notably as well, Longuet holding on to the back of Fassi. That's important for his race as he is playing the long game.
Yeah, obviously we just saw that swap there between Barry and Thomas, as you alluded to. Obviously they're trying to work together, utilise the slipstream and the DRS. Of course, as it becomes available in lap 3, you can then use it throughout the entirety of the race, obviously depending on whether you are 1 second within the driver ahead of you or not, as we now see them come through the latter point of Sector 1 in towards Sector 2 now. Blakely coming through the S's, obviously getting a decent start as well, utilising his soft rubber to the best of his abilities ahead of Alfie Butcher. So we now ride on board here with Freddie Rasmussen, no doubt licking his wounds after that initial blow from Thomas Ronhard at the very start, but keeping it dialed in and right up close and personal with his foe from last season. Of course, these two were dicing for the championship. Of course, they would both lose out. Here we go to Lucas Blakely, who currently sits behind Rasmussen and occupies the fastest lap of the race as well in 4th spot, as we now begin lap 5 of 36. Rasmussen again, this time though breaking out of the aero, just avoiding any overheating that might be happening to his tyres. Once again, we see the swap being issued here by Thomas Ronhard and Barry Burlemand. As you can see, no real fighting there. It's all about generating that DRS, generate the speed heading down these long straights. They'll utilise this right through their initial stinks. They need to get the most out of the soft tyres.
Yep, Lucas Blakely and Alfie Butcher have now caught on to the back of this train. So great driving there from Lucas Blakely to push after overtaking the Haas driver to get onto the back of this train and be in now for a fight for the win. Now, just because they've not been able to break away from the McLaren and the Haas, it doesn't mean they can stop working together and it's about who's just going to sit in the DRS and save their battery. No, now it's to try and break away from those medium runners, from the hard runners, because if those guys stay close to them, they're going to have a better chance of being in that fight later on when they're on those better tyres. They need to get that gap as big as they possibly can, so it's going to reward them later on. As Thomas Ronhard breaks away a little bit, but it's about half a second at the moment. George was talking about it earlier on the start-finish straight, and we're going to probably see it when we get to there again. Freddie Rasmussen just pulling out that slipstream. He's too far back to look for a move. He's not doing that. As you said, it's just overheating of the car. You overheat the engine, your top-end speed is going to be lower, so it's just going to hinder you in this race. There's no need to do it, and Freddie Rasmussen will be looking to do that to try and, give himself the best chance to fight for a race win later on. But even for someone like Freddie, at the moment, he doesn't necessarily need to be risky in this race. Doesn't have to win every single race from now on. If he can pick up the podium, second, third, the title's his. Yeah,
he just needs to play a clever game. He doesn't need to go for the Hail Mary, as we call it. He can just keep it sweet at this point. Freddie Rasmussen currently occupying 3rd. Now, there is a chance that Freddie could close out the title come tomorrow, but of course, there would be some chess pieces that would need to fall into place for that to happen as well. And one of the pawns in that fight is this man, Barry Burlemand, currently sits in 2nd spot. Still very much clocking what Thomas Ronhard's doing. Despite them working together, they are, of course, tussling it out for a race win, but they know that they're going to be sharing the same strategy, so they'll want to take this as far as they can so they can unleash a battle towards the very end of the race. But bear in mind, they will be on a slower set of tyres than very likely what those on the hards are going to be on very deep into this truly fascinating Mexican Grand Prix. As they make their way through the stadium, Blakely now getting very nice and close to the back of Rasmussen this time, but key to note as well, as we now see a big battle with Jarno Opmeer on the attack now, side by side with Fabrizio Donoso coming through the Peraltada. Opmia now in the top 10.
Yeah, that might be an indication that the soft tyres are starting to drop off with F1 23. Once you get your tyres to 25%, there's a bit of a drop-off. There's small little drop-offs throughout the stage up until 25%, but once you hit 25, you've kind of got the best out of your tyres. They're just going to plateau from then, and the medium tyres will then have a chance to be better, and it looks like Fabrizio Donoso is just kind of being swallowed up at the moment by the Mercedes drivers, indicating the soft tyres have reached the end of their best working window, and now it's time for the hard tyres, for the medium tyres to really start to flex their muscles and try and put a little bit of pressure on that lead pack. There's a bit of a gap forming though around the Nicholas Longue, Josh Ido. You know, they're just within that 1 second gap, but a big gap, notably Jarno Opmeer. He's 1 second. He will need to close that up through the S's section to get back in the train, otherwise it's going to hurt him.
Yeah, got swallowed up, I think, due to his fight with Donoso heading through the final sector. Now, this was the overtake between Barry and Ron Harley. Once again, they swapped positions in order to maximise their speed down the home straight, so still working together. The plan still in full force as we now rejoin the live action once again as they head through the stadium section. You just see as well the train of cars now starting to regather. You've got Alfie Butcher now, who's 7/10 behind Lucas Blakely. Ishmael Fassi then also showing in the mirrors of Butcher. Very close, in fact, 0.3 of a second between them. And these are our two rookie drivers starting their campaign this season. Once again, Rasmussen breaking out of the aero. Thomas Ronhaar certainly won't, though. He's going to follow Barry all the way and now move aside as utilising the DRS, the straight line speed. He now retakes the lead of the race as now Brendan Lee and Tom Manley and Fabrizio Donoso do battle in towards turn 1 as they do hurtle on through. Brendan Lee committed to the outside and successfully manages to keep Tom Manley down in 13th place. A very, very good run there from Brendan Lee out to the final corners at the Peraltada through towards turn 1. He was on top in that battle. But I get the sense, certainly as far as Mercedes are concerned here, Hayden, just keeping an eye on Jarno Opmeer, he's already managed to break within that second gap, so he's got DRS. There's a chance they could pull off another Spa here.
Certainly so. If you look at the hard tyre runners, you've got Nicholas Longue net lead of the hard runners. Then you've got Josh Ido, and then it's the two Mercedes drivers. So if the alternate strategy is the best one to go for, they're going to look very strong come the end of this race. We'll just have to wait and see. I wonder whether Donoso's got a little bit of damage, maybe a slight tap to a car in front, just slightly damaging the front wing. He's not losing a massive amount of time, but he's not losing, you know, he's being swallowed up by a lot of drivers, which we're not really seeing from Alfie Butcher, who has a medium runner directly behind him, whereas Donoso's being caught by hard tyre runners, unless he just pushed far too early in that first stint, had no battery left, and all the other drivers just playing a little bit smarter in this race. Another driver who's unfortunately fallen victim to this race is the Haas driver of Ulas Ozildirim. He's currently right down at the back of the grid, 33 seconds off the pace, but it's boxed for new tyres, and with Alfie Butcher in the fight for, you know, a good position, who's just been overtaken by Ishmael Fassi now, so now the medium tyres definitely working better than the softs. You know, could Ulas be doing another team strategy, get himself in the mix around the pit stop phase and try and help out Alfie Butcher?
It's very likely. It's very intriguing that he's opted for that stop. Well, certainly he's tailed off from the field. He's 33.2 behind Patrick Schipos. Let's take a look at the replay. This was a move between Jed Norgrove, trying to move up this time on the Aston Martin of Fabrizio Donoso. So once again, Donoso suffering, this time at the hands of the AlphaTauri. Good move there from Norgrove, a necessary move as well, so he could stay clued in as well. As we now see them heading through the final sector once again. Ron Hart still with the lead right now. I can't help but feel, though, Hayden, given what we're seeing right now, the strategy of the softs is being negated with this DRS train.
Certainly so. I mean, you get a much better benefit if you can blitz away from the rest of the field and have that comfortable cushion. But they are going to be hitting earlier. They're going to be getting the undercut where you pit earlier than your competitors, and you get a benefit of having fresher tyres, and obviously your tyres will be under the 25% range, so you're going to have a massive benefit at that stage of the race to then build that gap. However, things will flip with the overcut. Those drivers are going to have better tyres later on in the race and then able to really catch up. Let's have a look at this overtake. This was how Ishmael Fassi overtook the Red Bull driver of Josh Ido. Is this Fassi? Yes, this is Fassi. Overtaken Josh Ido, moves over to the inside line on the medium tyres compared to the hard. It's going to be an easy overtake on the inside, braking later than the Red Bull driver and moving themselves up the order.
Yeah, fantastic move from Fassi, and now occupies P5 and within DRS of Lucas Blakely. He's been a fantastic servant for Williams so far this season. Race Control have issued a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings to Wilson Hughes. So it's been a rough day at the office, certainly as far as Mexico is concerned for the Scot, who currently sits P18 in terms of our timing tower. As we now see the cars make their way through the Peraltada. Lap 10 will soon become lap 11. Still, Ron Haar leads 0.5 of a second, plus is the gap between he and Barry Burroman. We have got Freddie Rasmussen down in third place, Lucas Blakely in hot pursuit. Now, will there be any changes? Fastly starting to get closer to the back of Blakely's car as they head down towards turn one this time around. You see a lot of the cars now starting to fan out. Blakely now back in the coattails of Freddie Rasmussen, as is Fassi behind Blakely. Butcher in sixth as well. The pace, no doubt, is going to start to ramp up because those on the softs are no doubt going to be thinking of pit stops.
Certainly so, but you could also think of it this way. You can tuck up behind one of those medium runners, wait for them to drop off and get past the 25% zone, and then the soft tyres will be better at that stage than the medium. So things chop and change quite quickly. You can still try and go long, especially maybe for the soft tyre runners. They're kind of forced to go a little bit longer. The medium tyres are kind of in that nice little middle ground. They're going to benefit the best from their tyres, and they can opt for hards later on in this race. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out between all the different strategies out on track at the moment. But the soft tyre runners, you know, apart from Alfie Butcher being overtaken by Fassi, the rest of them are feeling a little bit comfortable out in front. It's not really like those hard tyre runners or the medium tyre runners are now starting to make a breakthrough on those guys. But just look at this train. Look at how close. Every driver, there is not one single driver who is out of 1 second of the car in front, bar the Haas driver, who has unfortunately had an incident and is 29 seconds off this pack. But they are closing in. With these guys so close together, the Haas driver's catching up, and that could help Haas later on. So look out for that if ULAS can make these tyres work and get in front, and then, do what they did in Austria. As we see another change for position, this time Thomas Ron Haar going above Barry Bromond.
Yeah, lap 12 of 36, and we're getting closer and closer. We're a third of the way into the race, and Ron Haar now leads with Burroman in second. We've got Rasmussen in third, Blakely in fourth, and Fassi in close proximity too. We've got Nicolas Longuet trying to gain closer and closer now. Longuet's tyre's definitely working now. He's having no trouble staying within the window of Alfie Butcher right now, and one can only wonder whether he's going to try and potentially upset the apple cart, though it does make sense for him just to hold position right now. He's getting DRS, doesn't need to panic. He knows that as soon as those ahead of him start pitting, that is when his strategy will come into fruition. He'll then put the burners on, look to maximise the pace on the hard tyres in order to try and balance against those that are boxing onto their harder tyres.
In the background.
Brendan Lee's out of the race. That is a yellow flag through Sector 2 into Sector 3, and Brendan Lee is out of the Mexican Grand Prix, and he is less than impressed, Hayden.
Yeah, he's absolutely furious over there. I heard a massive bang as the wheel looked like it went crazy over there. He's not happy. Something has gone wrong. Whether that was a collision with another driver, it's a very difficult section. It's not really a section that you want to go side by side because it's never going to work out for anybody, as Brendan Lee sadly out of this race. And I'm sure we'll get a replay to find out exactly what happened to the kick driver. So sadly there, Brendan Lee out of the race. And up at the front is Barry Bromond, still in this lead, as it looks like Freddie Rasmussen, Thomas Ron Haar going side by side momentarily into turn 4 and turn 5. Scared me for a moment. I thought maybe it's 2022 again, but no, we're good.
Steady, Hayden.
They're fine. Okay, they're not driving into each other. We're going to be good here.
Yeah, goodness me, could you imagine? Not now, guys. Not now. Lap 13. If only it would happen on lap 13 as well. Unlucky number.
Yeah.
Unreal. But yeah, coming through the S's now, it's Barry Burroman who leads this time with Rasmussen chasing him down. Now the gap still maintains just over 3.5 of a second. And at this point, it's just a case of trying to maintain the pace levels. That's all those on the softs can do here at this point. Now, this is the replay of the moment where Brendan Lee lost it coming out of the Estes section. Goodness me. Now, there was a lot of movement happening there.
That does look like a technical issue rather than a driver issue, because you could see the car kind of like crabbing to the side, and they were turning left and right, looking like the wheel was already going crazy before he had even hit the barrier. Now sometimes when you hit a wall, the wheel at that point is going to go mad. Like the force feedback is strong. Obviously all these different drivers have their own preferences in terms of force feedback and what they have on the rigs. And Brendan Lee looking like he has a strong steering wheel, because that wheel was going crazy at that point of the race.
I saw him gesturing, actually. He was twisting, like using his hands, like saying it was twisting left and right.
Yeah.
That kind of, obviously corresponds. Yeah, nothing he could do is what he's saying to us. Obviously, emotions running high as far as kick are concerned. I mean, that is literally a Jekyll and Hyde scenario so far in this race. They've got Thomas Ronhaar, who is in the mix and in the chance of getting a race win once again this season. His second race win it would be as well. Hasn't won since Bahrain in round 1. And now they've lost Brendan Lee. Yeah,
I mean, for Thomas Ronhaar, yes, okay, he's in the fight for the lead, but he is now on the back foot because a lot of these drivers will have a teammate that, if they're not doing well, look at Wilson Hughes, he's got a penalty already, could play that game where he stays out a little bit longer, tries to hold up drivers as Lucas does an overcut, and then like Lucas comes out in front, like Ulas is doing, or did as well in Austria. So that's something to look out for, but Thomas Ronhaar doesn't have the benefit of a teammate able to do that. I'd love to get on board to see exactly what happened through that corner because maybe it was just a little bit of contact through there. As we got our first round of pit stops. Here we go. The soft tyre runners and Thomas Ronhaar copying Max Verstappen from Miami. Didn't like the bollard, removed it.
Yeah, there you have it, folks. No bollards or harm in the making of this race. As we now see Ismail Fassi taking the lead here. Now, it's important to note that he has gone for a vastly different strat than most, certainly as far as the top 10 are concerned at this point, because he did this before, didn't he? He did it back at Saudi Arabia, if I'm not mistaken, and it worked. He managed to achieve a podium finish.
Yeah, both Williams opting for the mediums, but Alvaro pitting at the same time as the soft runners, whether that's just to put themselves up at the front and be in a good position and now copying their strategy. But he's gone for hards, whereas a lot of these guys that went from soft tyres obviously can go to the mediums, whereas Alvaro can't do that because you have to change your compound during the race. You have to run 2 of the 3 compounds in a race, mandatory pit stop in Formula 1. So these guys now on the mediums, they're going to be absolutely burning it right now, trying to catch back up to the hard tyre runners and just give themselves a big gap, a big cushion before those hard tyres go into the box and start to catch up.
And the genius of Fassi's decision to go onto the mediums, we saw his procedure through the initial stint of the race, just positioning himself in behind, not making too many aggressive manoeuvres, save the tyres and utilise them, burn them towards the end, try and break away from those on the hards.
Yeah, certainly so. I mean, now he has decided to come into the pit lane, so he's in the box. So he'll filter out and be on the back of this train and will have just 1 lap fresher tyres compared to the others, but that could be a benefit for sure out on track. These guys here, they're on the medium tyres, have gone for the strategy, and again, Williams are having to go onto the hards because they've already used the set of mediums in this race. But these guys now definitely need to work together because if they start to work together, it's going to build that gap over the hard tyre runners when they come into their pit stop. Thomas Ronhaar overtaking Freddie Rasmussen and now looks to get the double and overtakes Barry Burman and takes the lead of this race. And that's what they need to do. Use the slipstream, use the DRS, burn the battery down the straight, and then on the next straight, you save your battery, let somebody else burn theirs. They take the lead, you benefit from the DRS back and forth, and then slowly you move away from the hard tyre runners and make it more difficult when they're trying to cut their way through the field.
It's a double Dutch manoeuvre, and twice he's done it. He's done it double. He did it at the start of the race. He's just done it again.
Double trouble.
Truly sensational. That's exactly what Ronhaar needs to do now. Try and build at the pace. We're going to take a look now at the replay. Now, this is Thomas Ronhaar making his way down the long home straight here at the Principale, brushing past Freddie Rasmussen in true calm fashion. Next on his list was Barry Burman, yet another overtake, just exactly as he did on the opening lap of the race, off the start-finish line, getting the jump on the 2 cars ahead of him. He's done it again, and now he's the net leader here at Mexico.
Interestingly, he didn't use that much battery. I was expecting him to burn quite a lot down the straight to get the double, but didn't actually need it too much, I guess because it's such a long start-finish straight, as now these guys are looking to try and work together. No, they're not. Jarno Opmeer, too busy fighting with Nicholas Longe. Of course, now, it's about being that lead driver on the hard tyres because you're going to be the first one to try and cut through the pack. The more you're held up by, the likes of Ismail Fassi, Alvaro Carreton, Alfie Butcher, it's going to hinder you. So you need to be at the front of this train and not get stuck behind somebody else who's maybe a little bit too passive going for those overtakes. You have to be aggressive if you're on this scenario because if you want the race win, you've got to cut through the field as quickly as possible, especially as there's only 6-7 drivers that they have to work their way through. So it is going to be difficult for them, but you want to be at the lead of this train. And Josh Edu is doing what he needs to do at the moment.
Yeah, certainly is. He's doing the job that's necessary. Now, this will very much help Rasmussen as well in many ways. As the pack starts to build back up, obviously he's going to hope and try and secure, try and reduce the gap. 9.5, obviously, between Ronhaar and Schipos. This is about Rasmussen as far as he's concerned. Bear in mind, if Rasmussen wins, the better the points for Freddie Rasmussen, the better the points for Red Bull Racing. That's exactly what Ido's trying to do. And into the pits he comes now straight away. So it's Danny Berejnay who now has the lead.
Yeah, Danny Berejnay into the lead of this race. We've got Tom Manny, Wilson Hughes, Jarno Opmeer, Josh Ido, Nicholas Longe all into the box and going for medium tyres. What will Danny Berejnay do? Will he go later? Will he opt for soft tyres till the end? Or does he think that the medium tyres is better? Obviously can't box on the same lap because he was right behind his teammate. Now they need to catch up. What is the gap? 4 seconds now to Fassi, who notably is 1.5 off of his teammate. Will he be able to catch up to Alvaro Carreton, who's just caught up to the back of that train of the lead pack? But it's going to be difficult for those guys to maybe hold on, especially with those fast and medium tyres trying to catch them up. I think Williams, sadly, strategy might fall away from them in this race. But being on the hard tyres, their tyres are going to be better for longer. The mediums will have that pace early on, but the hard tyres will be better for longer. But they need to make sure they don't get swallowed up. So maybe Fassi's got to play that team game. He's got to hold up those medium tyres that are currently trying to hunt them down. And then Alvaro Carreton can go on the attack later when the hard tyres are better than the mediums.
Yeah, Ron Hart's nearly managed to close the gap by 2 seconds alone in the last lap or so, in the last lap and a half anyway. So Ron Hart really putting his feet into gear, applying that throttle in the most necessary way possible, and now heading through the final corners. And then he'll begin yet another lap. Coming out of the Recta della Valle through the Peraltada. It is now down the Recta Principale once again, this time on lap 19 of 36. Jed Norgrove not far behind him, not far behind Danny Berejnay either right now. 4.5 tenths of the realm now becomes 5 tenths. But in terms of the fight here and the net P1 positions, it's still Ron Hart with Barry Burremand in 7th place, with Freddie Rasmussen occupying P8, and also net P3. Nicholas Longe has managed to jump ahead of Josh Ido as well. That's a battle for 13th place on track right now, but Longe has got 4.5 seconds to find on Ismail Fassi, but he has got 2 lap fresher tyres.
Yeah, certainly so. This is going to get dicey in a moment. You know, they're catching up 4 seconds at the moment between Nicholas Longe and Fassi. They're going to be trying to catch those guys up. They're not making too much inroads at the moment. These guys on the hard tyres, on the medium, still working well. But it's going to be that later stage of the race. You know, yeah, okay, it's only 4 laps different. Maybe someone like Danny Berejnay, when he comes into the box, is going to have an advantage. Let's take a look at a replay. This is Longe's overtake on Josh Ido on lap 19. Goes to the inside. Very simple. DRS just so strong here in Mexico. No ERS needed. And there he goes past his rival, because of course they're both in that constructors fight, aren't they? Up at the top you've got Red Bull, you've got Ferrari, you've got Mercedes, so it's an important overtake for the constructors.
Yeah, certainly is, and certainly favours the low downforce element when you're heading down the Principale. It's exactly what Rasmussen's thinking of doing as well, as he looks to try and challenge Barry Burremand. But I think just coming out of the aero, just trying to keep the engine cool once again. Seems to be a little bit of a trait from Freddie. Certainly something that he has tried to master through the course of this race so far. It hasn't done him badly because he currently sits in a net P3 position. Obviously, all those will box from P5 and above, that being Shipos, Evans, Pedreño, Norgrove, Berejnay. As soon as they all come in, it is then business as usual. You have Thomas Ronhaar, who will retake the lead of the race. Barry Burremand will be behind him. Freddie Rasmussen in 3rd. Is now right on board with Alfie Butcher as he now begins to launch his pursuit on Lucas Blakely, heading through the Estes section. He'll look to try and keep it as tight as he can. Blakely also venomous at this point, knows that he has been disappointed in many ways, given the fact the results haven't necessarily gone McLaren's way so far, and we obviously just saw Wilson Hughes having issues in his own right. Penalties being distributed to him, the only driver on this grid to have a penalty as well. You can just see that Rasmussen once again digging deep to stay in behind Barry Burremand, just applying those brakes just that little bit later. Doesn't need to apply them though, doesn't need to necessarily go in on the attack too early. He can wait it out, doesn't need the race, doesn't need to rush the race will come to him surely. He opens up the DRS now this time around, might even benefit from a little bit of a slip, as does the drivers behind him. Alfie Butcher on the attack of Lucas Blakely does ascend past Blakely as well, as we see Blakely trying to challenge around the outside again. They're going to run wheel to wheel out of turn 2, but Alfie Butcher bringing down the carving knife upon Lucas Blakely. Going through the first sector, a fantastic move from Butcher and a great defensive display.
Brilliant move there from the young Alfie Butcher to move himself up into 6th position. It'll be interesting to see how he plays this from here on. Jarno Opmeer has left the session. Is that a disconnect? It might possibly be a disconnect for Jarno Opmeer. as he is sadly falling through the order. We'll find out what has happened there as the two Alpines are leading the way currently in this race, but yet to make a pit stop. But as I was saying, it'd be interesting what Alfie Butcher does, because he is following behind Freddie Rasmussen. Freddie Rasmussen has a championship on the line. He doesn't want to be getting into too many battles, but also doesn't want to lose position, but doesn't want to break a front wing. So Alfie Butcher can afford to be maybe a bit more aggressive, because he's like, well, you're going to be more passive. You're just going to give me the position because you don't want to lose out too much time. So let's see what happens for Alfie Butcher at the moment, as one of the Alpines is into the box and there's only one still yet left to go. Alpine will be looking for a red flag right now because they're currently leading the way.
Good luck getting one. Fresh medium tyres being given to Ruben Pedreño as he'll then make his way out. Still Patrick Sheepos at the head of the field. As soon as he comes in, then Barry Burman will take the lead, unless, of course, they utilise the swap manoeuvre, as we have seen Ron Haar and Barry do consistently over the course of this race, certainly on their initial stint. Rasmussen still waiting in the wings. Of course, be very wary of Alfie Butcher in behind, because Butcher already showing that he is not concerned with obviously landing the heavy blows to certain world champions. So now we see Jed Norgrove in deep battle with Fabrizio Donoso, and has managed to get the move done as well. John Evans also going through past Donoso. I think that was more a team manoeuvre there, because Evans is on much fresher and faster tyres.
Update for Jarno Opmeer. He is back in the session. Jarno Bot has been put on the side and he's back in, and let's see what he can do, as Patrick Sheepos has been overtaken now by Barry Burman. This could be great for Barry. He could potentially use this as an opportunity to run away, but it's not really being timed at the best part of the track, because that's going to allow Thomas Ronhaar still to get the DRS and able to catch up quite quickly. But look how slow he was going through the final corner. Of course, you know, he's trying to set himself to come into the pit lane, and look at the gap. It's already 1 second over Thomas Ronhaar. He's now going to have to burn the battery to close back in, but with that slipstream and the DRS, it's still good enough.
Yeah.
Maybe if it happened during the S's section that Barry got away, he might have been able to break free and would have had a nice comfy cushion, but sadly it's not quite worked in his favour, as Nicholas Longuet making a move once again, or just working together with Josh Edu to try and close in onto the back of Ismail Fassi, who is still 1.8 now off of his teammate.
Yeah, the one saving grace for Thomas Ronhaar was, of course, that he had that DRS on the Alpine, so it became a hindrance, but then it helped him get back into where he needed to be. So there we go, you know, swings and roundabouts here at Mexico, folks, as Barry Burman still continues to advance his course. P1 going to the Iranian right now, 0.3 of a second between he and Thomas Ronhaar. Freddie Rasmussen in third, Alfie Butcher in fourth, having a great race so far. And we do have to wonder how Ulas Yildirim is going to be applied through the course of this race, even though I will say this, he has boxed onto fresher medium tyres. He is at the back of the grid. It's whether Haas do decide to make use of him, maybe slow him right up, even though he has got quite a bit of slowing up to do. 21.4 off the tail of Patrick Sheepos right now. We're currently seeing a nice view of the 6 cars that currently lead the way in this race. Ismail Fassi with a gap between he and his teammate. Longuet has just managed to jump past Fassi as well. Fassi's actually dropped down twice because Josh Edo has moved up to 8th. So, and he still continues to lose some. What's going on with Fassi?
Yeah, potentially a mistake there through the last couple of corners. I guess those hard tyres just aren't working well for him. He's just been swallowed up by these guys right up behind. You can see his rear light flashing. That means he's got no battery left, but he's still going on the attack. Around the outside. Oh my God, it's 3 wide into turn 1. Let's cut back to that action. It's still wheel to wheel. The Red Bull and the AlphaTauri, the sister teams coming together, and that's going to allow Nicholas Longuet to get a little bit of a break, but not quite enough. It's only 0.7 of a second, but Fassi getting involved there, maybe a bit too aggressive, and unfortunately it's not quite worked out for him.
Yeah, and what doesn't help either is that he's flashing with his rear energy lights as well. The ERS no doubt drained for the Williams driver. It did look like he was going to get a nice exit coming out, heading down the long Transira straight, but it just wasn't to be. And now Fassi remains in 10th with his teammate actually sitting in P6 right now. Of course, Caraton, the only driver on hard tyres aside from Fassi in that top 10. So they now head through, down through towards the Avalo, and now in towards the hairpin in the stadium section. It's still Burman who leads and has maintained the pace levels very well indeed too. Longuet getting closer and closer in behind Caraton. You do have to wonder whether those mediums now are going to be applied in order to try and usurp that Spaniard, who's been a mighty servant for Williams in all the years he's been there since 2018, as now they send it down the long Principali straight. Once again, we see the swap in issue this time. Ronhaar around the outside, and Alfie Butcher now challenging Freddie Rasmussen coming out of turn 1 through turn 2. Rasmussen just getting a better exit coming out of turn 3, but Alfie Butcher asking all the major questions as they blast down the Transira.
Yeah, he's getting aggressive here with Freddie Rasmussen. He knows he's got a championship on the line. He knows he's got the chance to get his elbows out slightly, and potentially Thomas Ronhaar will be the one to pull out. Let's have a look at a replay of what happened to Fassi, and it looks like he just lost the rear end into the hairpin in the stadium section. That allowed the Ferrari through, and then up the inside comes Josh Ido. As soon as you get out of line around circuits like this, it's just a snowball effect. You know, one car comes through and then you're offline, so that opens the door for another car to step through. But even with no ERS, was able to get back in the slipstream, use the DRS, and still go 3 wide down in towards turn 1. But Alfie Butcher still right to the back of Freddie Rasmussen. And that aggression might come back to hinder him, because Lucas Blakely is looking all over his tail. So these two could be going wheel to wheel once again, maybe down in towards the first corner. But looking good is the Ferrari and the Kick-Sauber team. They're just working together, but also stopping Freddie from getting past. I say that, but now Freddie Rasmussen very close to the back of Barry Broman, 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, very close indeed. Rasmussen actually swapping to the outside. I don't think too concerned about making a move just yet. Barry went defensive nonetheless. Danny Berejnay has just lurched past Ismail Fassi and is now in the top 10. Fassi just outside it. Jarno Opmeer will be eyeing him up now this time. Obviously recovering after losing or leaving the session. So now we see the drivers make their way down Transira into the next left-hander. Now, it's a double nightmare really for Freddie Rasmussen, because not only is Thomas Ronhaar in this top 4, but he's got another Haas chasing him down through this very segment of circuit.
Yeah, certainly so. I'm looking at the moment, Danny Berejnay cutting his way through the field. He's back within a second of the train. He has got the best medium tyres, I believe, throughout the field. So he's looking very strong right now, and he's on the back of that fight, you know, Josh Ido and Nicholas Longe, who pitted a little bit later than those front runners who were on the soft. So you've got to say, for a driver coming back through the field, Danny Berejnay is going to have the tyres in the best situation. We're riding on board now of Lucas Blakely going into that stadium section and having his eyes all over that rear end of the Haas car at the moment. Right tucked up behind his diffuser, loses time a little bit on entry to the final corner, but will then blitz it out of the final corner. And look, I feel like he's a little bit too far back. He's not really trying to attempt an overtake, so he's going to sit behind him for the time being, get the DRS open, look behind him, make sure nobody's attacking him, and now he's going to move out to cool down the engine. It's right up behind him, Alvaro Caraton, but I think he's just a little bit too far back. There's no need to send a lunge up the inside there. You're probably going to come off worse. Break your front wing. It's really not worth it. For these guys, they're only really making moves at this stage of the race if they're 100% sure they can get it done.
Yeah, and now taking a look at the replay of Josh Ido this time, heading through towards the hairpin section. Wow, and this is where Tom Manley and Danny Berejnay came together, heading through towards the final corners, and Berejnay lurching forward into P9 as a consequence. He's now up to P8 as well, as we see a huge fight beginning to ensue with Jarno Opmeer and John Evans. Now, Evans has been powering his way through the field. We saw the swap earlier on between he and Fabrizio Donoso. He's now managed to launch a charge into 11th, and they're coming together through the S's. I'm pretty sure there was a little scrap of debris just flying off one of the cars. I'm not sure whether it was Norgrove. It might have been nothing, but Opmeer is on his tail, and Norgrove's light on the rear of his car, his ERS light, is blinking. Norgrove is sitting duck with one Flying Dutchman hot on his tail, and he still has 24% left to use.
Yeah, but if Jarno used it down this straight, he will have nothing left after then, so he'll be in the same situation that Jed Norgrove is in currently. He was not happy with that overtake. I could hear him shouting in the background, and he was not happy with the overtake from John Evans. Just took a little bit too much on the inside, didn't leave Jarno enough room on the inside, cut him slightly, and the slight contact came of it. And they are quite considerably a large amount behind these guys at the moment. Fabrizio Donoso gets caught for speeding in the pit lane, gets a 5-second time penalty. Let's take a look at the replay. This is on board with Jarno Opmeer. And look at this train that he's got behind him. Is he trying to play that teammate game, hold up these drivers? Or is this being compromised because of being disconnected from the session? Holds it round the outside on John Evans, then into the right. Does John leave enough room? There's fine. That's okay. No contact here, but it's this corner. Opmeer's on the inside. John Evans just squeezes tightly. I think Jarno just got caught out, went onto that orange sausage curb, but it just kind of bumped the car and allowed it to crab to the outside and make contact. I feel like John Evans left enough room, like just enough room, but unfortunately for Jarno Opmeer, was on that inside curb, it bumped him, and that's what cost him the time.
Yeah, couldn't see any debris falling off there, so it probably was nothing, but a huge moment Obviously not ideal for Otmere, nor Grove as a consequence to manage to move up to 11th place, as we now see Lucas Blakely trying to tag back on Alfie Butcher. Of course, remember, Butcher was the one who unseated Blakely for that 4th place earlier on. And yes, Danny Berejnay, P6, he's been ascending all the time quietly through this field in this second stint, and now with his much fresher tyres is on the attack, and a 5-second time penalty for Ismail Fassi for speeding in the pit lane, and he's retired from the race. Williams now one-legged, 2 DNFs as now we see the cars come through turns 1.
Yeah, Danny Berejnay really cutting through the field, cutting back to earlier. His overtake into the stadium section, unbelievable on Tom Manley. Round the outside of the hairpin, got himself the inside, then into the final 2 corners, and that move was cemented. Now he's looking in prime position to try and catch up. The yellow flag's out on track. That's just for Fassi's car that's retired in the pit lane. There'll be no issue there, as there's a bit of will-to-will action between Alvaro Carreton. Josh Edo, he's off the circuit. He's forced out wide. He's flashing as well. They're going will-to-will now as they head into the S's section. Edo has the inside line, should be able to hold the position, and he does. Alvaro is going to have to concede that one.
Yeah, fabulous defensive effort there from Josh Edu, the man from the Ronda, trying to hold helm to this 8th spot in this timing tower. Alvaro Carreton trying to do everything though to stop him. You can just see the train now starting to reform in behind, which is brilliant news for Danny Berejnay, who currently sits in 6th and is not far away, as now we see more battling, this time Tom Manley and Carreton going at it, and Manley looking to follow suit as with Josh Edo trying to muscle his way through. He's up into P9, but still we have the battles being carried out further down the order. John Evans and Jed Norgrove, another AlphaTauri fight.
Look at this gaggle of cars that's forming behind Alvaro Carreton now. Williams' strategy, they're going to be looking back at this one and feeling, where did it slip away, because the medium to hard contact. Danny Berejnay into the back of, I believe that was Lucas Blakely. It is Lucas Blakely falling down the order, and now he is down in 15th position. That is surely race done. Danny Berejnay will not be happy about that. When we spoke to him last night, and he was talking about, you know, a previous season where he made slight contact with Freddie Rasmussen, which, you know, counting back after the end of the season, kind of cost him the championship. He never wants to race like that. He'll be very disappointed with it. It'll be interesting to note, did he get front wing damage? I didn't see anything come off the car, but the face cam is covering that side of the front wing, so I'm not too sure.
Well, we didn't see any debris fall off, so that might be something, but we'll have to wait and see. We're riding on board with Berejnay, heading through the S's this time, and Longuet, obviously a thorn in the side for now, but Berejnay knows that he is on better tyres, and he's trying to make use of them. Coming into the Avala, we know how firm, how strong he is on the brakes as he heads through the final sector. There is the Mercedes, heading through now towards the Peraltada, once again to begin very shortly, lap 31 of 36. It is still Thomas Ronhaar, a Dutchman leads once again for the 4th time straight here at Mexico. Could it be a 4-time Dutch winner? Only this time Ronhaar instead of Otmere. They'll burst down now towards turn 1, coming down the Principale. Still Burman out, looking to try and challenge. Looks down the inside now of Thomas Ronhaar. They're not interested in switching this time. Ronhaar retains the lead.
No, Barry's playing the smart game now. He wants to hold 2nd position, because he knows if you're in 2nd going into that last lap, you're in the best position to take the race win. Thomas Ronhaar opened the door, allowed him, if you want to go for it, but backed out of the corner. Just covered the inside so Freddie Rasmussen was unable to get past, but didn't go for the overtake to make sure he is still in 2nd position. He wants to save that battery, get the DRS. We've seen how powerful the DRS is, that you can perform overtakes without even using a single dose of ERS around this circuit. So it's important for him to stay in 2nd position and try and go for that race win later on, but does need to watch out that Freddie Rasmussen doesn't just do what Ronhaar did on lap 1, swoops around the outside and takes him instead.
Yeah. 31 of 36 will soon become 32 as they head through the Avalo. Once again, Danny Berejnay just starting to cool himself down a little. Calm down, doesn't need to worry too much. He hasn't lost any pace. Still on the back of Nicolas Longuet. So it's all a recovery mission as things stand. He's got Josh Edo hot on his tail as well, and that's probably going to be more of Berejnay's concern. Wants to try at least put a little bit of a defensive barrier between he and Josh Edo, because of course Edo will be working for Rasmussen as we now see them head down through towards turn 1 again. This time Tom Manley looking to try and break past the senior Red Bull team car belonging to Josh Edo. This time Manley committing to the inside, Edo trying to squeeze him off once again. Edo's defensive display has been absolutely tremendous as Fabrizio Donoso also claims yet another penalty.
That wasn't on Ido, that was on Danny Berezne. He overtook Josh Ido down the start-finish straight and then tried to have a look up the inside of Danny Berezne. So Danny Berezne, whilst it doesn't look like there's any damage, is wounded out there and is struggling now at this stage of the race. And I'm sure he's going to have a penalty coming his way. So look how close they are going into the double right-hand hairpin. Luckily, it looks like nobody got caught up with each other, and again, we didn't have a situation that unfolded with Lucas Blakely. I'd love to get a replay to see exactly what happened. I believe it was Danny Berezne who made the contact, but he was going wheel-to-wheel with Nicolas Longuet. Longuet then overtook him, and I think Longuet got the both of them, and then in that kerfuffle, Danny Berezne unfortunately just tagged Lucas Blakely, but I'd love to get a replay to really break down what happens up the inside. Here goes Danny Berezne having a look, contact again. Danny this time wheel-to-wheel banging with Longuet. Longuet forcing him off the circle. He's like, you're not getting through like that on me. And he's really aggressive at the moment between these two, and they're fighting a little bit too hard. If they keep on this battle, it could potentially lose them DRS on the guys in front, but maybe Longuet, you know what? I'm playing the team game. I know your tyres are better. You could probably hunt down my teammate. I don't want that. But here comes Tom Manley.
Yeah, Tom Manley having every opportunity given to him now to make an overtake on the pair of them. But once again, it's Danny Berezne down the inside of Longuet out of turn 2. Through turn 3, Mercedes v Ferrari. Danny Berezne bolsters his approval into P5. And now once again being challenged by Tom Manley. It's now 3 wide, heading down the Transera. 4 wide, heading through towards the next left. Berezne has been made, well, lots of contact everywhere across this grid. Longuet, Manley, further up Alfie Butcher in P4 as well. Absolute insanity in Sector 2.
That was incredible. 4 wide into the 4th corner. We're not done yet. There's battles galore behind us. Josh Ido and Alvaro Caraton switching places. I heard a thud in the background. Somebody's not happy with what's been going on in the driving standards that have been showcased out there. I'm sure we're going to look into what exactly happened in that little fight that was going on between those drivers. But what we do know is Danny Berezne has moved himself up to P5 for the time being. Now on the hunt of Alfie Butcher. Longuet's 6th. Ruben Pedreno has found himself into P7, which is huge for Alpine. Also, John Evans up in a P12 at the moment, going wheel to wheel with the AlphaTauri of Jed Norgrove, not leaving him any space on the outside there. Says go again. He's going to try it now down the start-finish straight. Had slightly more battery there than Jed. Will move to the outside line. We'll get the DRS and we'll get the slipstream of Alvaro Caraton. Look at Jed trying to move over to try and get slipstream from the Williams, but here comes somebody else behind. That's Jarno Opmeer. He'll have the inside line going into turn 1. Can he brake later? He tries it on the inside. Jarno is going to try the inside line. We get the outside line through turn 2, but then inside again for turn 3, and surely that is job done, but they are still wheel to wheel.
Yeah.
Jarno gets it done.
Yeah, John Evans thought he had it done, but Jarno Opmeer came from beneath and took it all away as he makes his way through now out of the Transera, now in towards the middle sector. It is now Jarno Opmeer in P11, 1 spot away from achieving points, but still wheel to wheel John Evans, this time with Wilson Hughes. He has lost out so much after that fight in the first sector. He thought he had Jed Norgrove sewn up and done, but now as a consequence is losing places and contact through the S's once again as Wilson Hughes, despite the penalties, now moves up ahead of him into P13.
Can these lot calm down, please? We need a bit of a breather. This is crazy, the amount of action that's going on throughout the field at the moment. It's not over yet, because we've got an Alpine and Aston Martin going wheel to wheel. These two fighting, of course, to not be last in the Constructors' Championship. No points, of course, awarded for 14th and 15th. This one is just for pride, but John Evans is sadly losing positions, and we talked about it earlier, that when you're offline, because these cars are so close to each other, as soon as you're offline and somebody tries on the inside, it opens the door for the car behind, and you start losing more and more positions. But we're getting into the last 2 laps now. We've got Barry Burman in 2nd place. He won't go for the overtake just yet, but Freddie Rasmussen will be the one looking to try and move himself into 2nd position. Look how many cars there are! There's so many at the moment, so many battles going on. And don't forget that Alpine, P6, what a result this could be for them.
Yeah, 2 wides become 3 wides, 3 wides become 4. It's insanity here at Mexico City. And here, Josh Ido under attack. Once again, he's got Manley on his inside as well as they head through now in towards the next left, and Manley will stay ahead of Josh Ido. Jarno Opmeer now being brought into this mix as well. Bear in mind, this is a fight for points we're currently witnessing out on track, so quite integral if you consider the championship standing.
Yeah, and this would be huge for Jarno Opmeer. Of course, getting that disconnect, going into AI mode, the AI would be slower than these guys out on track as well. So, you know, to lose those positions, lose that time, and then get yourself back into a fight for points, this would be a great result for Jarno, but also what could have been. Could he been up there with Danny Berezne? Could he been even further fighting for the race win? But this is where we're going to be watching Barry Burman now. He's waited till the last lap. This is the time to go for the attack.
Yeah, coming down the inside now, Jarno Opmeer heading through the stadium section. Peraltada lies in wait for the Flying Dutchman with a twitch of the moustache. He looks around the outside, nearly loses the rear end. Coming with Josh Ido now down the long Principale. But in principle, he's got a fight on his hands with Jed Norgrove in behind as well. Once again, it is nearly triple wide, nearly 4 wide as well. They're coming together in towards turn 1, still at this stage. Wilson Hughes, Ido, Norgrove, Opmeer, Manley, they're all in the mix of all this. We've got a Red Bull now going side by side with the Alpha Tauri still, as Jed Norgrove looks to once again put a thorn in the side of Josh Ido.
Barry's going for the lead. He's looking for it around the outside into turn 4. He's going to switch it back and try and switch it again for turn 5. Unable to do so. Thomas Ronhard defending fantastically despite not having DRS. And there is one more opportunity into the final sector where Barry Broman can try and attempt that overtake, take the lead, and it's a homecoming to get across the line.
Yeah, Thomas Ronhard, obviously the man who would be so successful come qualifying. It truly was a battle, but here this time starting on the fourth spot on the grid, he ascended, he challenged, he bit against Barry Burmand, he bit against Rasmussen. It all started from the supremely brilliant getaway that he had on the opening lap coming off the line. Rasmussen with another look this time on Barry Burmand, but to no avail. But Thomas Ronhard, after winning back at Bahrain where he silenced his doubters, it was hardship in event 2, he hails in event 3. It's victory for Thomas Ronhard here at Mexico City.
Take a bow, Thomas Ronhard. You know, we spoke about it earlier. Having the DRS is such a huge advantage. To be able to hold everybody off, lead for so long in this race. Barry Burman threw everything at it. He tried right to the end. Unfortunately, just didn't have enough battery saved up to go for the overtake into that turn 4 and 5. If he was a little bit closer, maybe could have tried it around the outside and set himself for the inside. But Thomas Ronhard, man of the moment. We saw tears in event 2, and you can see that the emotion is high this time around. It's tears of joy for the race win. His championship hopes are back on. Freddie Rasmussen, the championship leader, though, strong result for him, P3, and that is exactly what he needs to do. Just keep on picking up these podium positions. He doesn't look that happy at the moment. Of course, he'd like to be fighting at the front or taking that front position, taking that race win, because it's going to benefit him massively. Alfie Butcher, happy with that result. P4, a solid result there for the Haas driver. And again, just gathering that experience across the season. Ferrari, you know, P2, they should be happy with that, but they're disappointed that they just couldn't quite get that race win at the end.
Yeah, I mean, Kit had their own issues. Remember Brendan Lee retiring, Ronhard coming back and nailing his second win of the season was integral as far as their championship was concerned. Remember, back early on, Kick F1 were leading the championship in the team's cause. And of course, Ronhard was very much in front in terms of the driver's standings very early into the campaign. After sealing the deal back at Bahrain, persevered at the early stages of event 2. Eventually it fell off, but he's come back blazing here at Mexico. And still, you've got many of the main protagonists. Barry Burmand as well, second place. Will Freddie Rasmussen consider that points lost at this point? We'll have to wait and see. But obviously, I'd imagine they're not celebrating too hard just yet because, of course, we do have Sao Paulo coming up later on, Hayden.
Yeah, just watch these discussions there between McLaren Shadow and the Ferrari esports team. Looked like it was maybe slightly heated. Of course, we did see Lucas Blakely get spun around. We saw Nicolas Longuet take the position past Danny Beresne. We initially thought it was Danny Beresne that made the contact. We haven't seen any replays to confirm that. So maybe potentially it was Nicolas Longuet who got caught up with that. But we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe it was an instant earlier that we might have missed. But Ferrari, they're going to be looking at that. I'm sure the stewards are going to be busy behind the scenes for this race because there was a lot of wheel banging, a lot of forcing drivers off wide. We saw a penalty for Danny Beresne right at the end of the race. He got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, but we just saw how many times drivers were forced off. What are you supposed to do in that situation where a driver just physically pushes your car off the track? There's no option. There's no choice. You didn't choose to drive off the track. You were forced to do so. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But that's important for Barry. He has closed up in the championship. Whilst, you know, he would have preferred to get the race win and have 10 points over Freddie Rasmussen, you know, it's still picking up the pieces. 3 points, just chiseling away at that championship lead at the moment.
Yeah, and I tell you what else as well. Ruben Pedreño.
Great result.
What happened there with Alpine? Truly unbelievable. Ariana, I mean, we were mind blown through the course of that one. I mean, there's many storylines we can dive into with this.
That was quite something. I'm surprised you've still got a voice, George, after that. Well, it is Thomas Ronhart who takes a victory there. I mean, I spoke with the team ahead of that, and they, like I said earlier, they sounded confident today. Whatever happened in that couple of week break that they've had, it's obviously worked because he's just got victory and he lines up in pole for the next race. Fantastic performance by him from the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, started this race from 4th position and took the lead literally straight away. Great overtake around the outside into turn 1, taking 3 drivers as well. Incredible stuff. And yeah, let's see what he can do from pole position. It's a fantastic opportunity to take 2 wins. I clearly am wearing the right colour today. I'm blending in with the kick team. But let's take a look at some of the replays of the action. And this fantastic overtake from Thomas Ronhart. Obviously, don't worry too much about Nicholas Longay. He's on hard tyres, but there was slight contact between the two of them. Nothing came of that, luckily. Now picks up the slipstream from Freddie Rasmussen, moves over to the left-hand side, and then he just has a great line. He has the grip, he has the racing line to drive right around the outside of both the Red Bull and the Ferrari, takes the lead, and then it was just a case of working together across the rest of the race. And then, you know, I was surprised he took the race win because I was expecting Barry just to be saving battery, saving a bit of pace behind, and then launching one on the last lap, like we saw him do with Lucas Blakely in Spa.
It was beautifully done, it really was. But that was quite a chaotic race, shall we say. Quite a lot of contact throughout. And we don't see that every time. We didn't see that much of that in Event 2, but that time round, a lot of contact.
It's days like this, Ariana, where I'm glad I'm a commentator, not a steward. But I have to be said, we did allude to that. Obviously, the stewards are going to be busy later on. But yeah, I mean, the amount of 4 wides we had through turn 2, turn 3, 4, you know, through the Trans-Zero straight. It's just, wow. I mean, fair play to the front. I think it helped their cause. I think in terms of the podiums, obviously allowed Ronhart to push onwards and just focus on his own race. I mean, we just take a look at some of these now. I mean, truly outrageous. Now, this is Berejnay. This is where things really started to ramp up. We had Longay around the outside. Manley then came in and joined the scrap. Further up, Butcher, in all of this, was given free rein to push. So he was a gap was essentially formed between those in behind. We then had Nicholas Longay sticking his oar in. It was then 4 wide down the Trans-Zero, heading to the next left. Now, this is where the carnage unfolded, because very rarely did 2 into 1 go here. 4 into 1, big risk. And here you can see, obviously, Berejnay a little fortunate to come out of that one, I think, ahead of the runners behind him. But yeah, could have very easily led to the end of many of their races.
It absolutely could have. Let's see the race results after that one, guys. Talk us through it.
Yeah, let's take a look at the race results, and this is how they all line up after that 36 laps of that. Thomas Ronhart leads the way, takes the 25 points home. A fantastic drive from himself. Barry still in that championship fight, 2nd position, but Freddie Rasmussen, Mr. Consistent, on the podium once again, and that's exactly what he needs to do in Event 3. Stay consistent. Alfie Butcher, great drive, good qualifying, and of course backing that up this time around with a fantastic drive. And as I always say, keep on gaining that experience, and it's only going to help him in later seasons when he's going to be fighting potentially for championships. What a result for the Alpine driver of Ruben Pedreño into P5. Strong points, 10 points added to his tally. Nicholas Longay in P6, Alvaro Carreton 7th, Tom Manley in the AlphaTauri with 8th. Jana Watmir, despite getting disconnected, still managing to drive back to P9 with Danny Berezny in 10th. Now, Danny did get a penalty right at the end that might be looked into in the stewards, so this is just provisional results at the moment. Josh Edu just missing out on points, 11th position. Then it's Patrick Schipos in 12th. Lucas Blakely, our reigning champion, spun around in the latter stages of those races, finishes in 13th position. And unfortunately, we had 2 DNFs. Ismail Fassi retired in the pit lane, and that strange DNF from Brendan Lee that I hope we get an interview with him later on to find out exactly what happened with his steering wheel.
And it is Thomas Ronhart who also got the DHL Fastest Lap Award. So an extra point for him in that bid to close the gap in the championship. Now, I believe Claire has managed to track down our podium sitters. Claire, who have you got your hands on first?
Thank you, Ariana. Came down here to Red Bull to speak to Freddie Rasmussen. Freddie, congratulations, a 3rd place. Not exactly what you were after, and you were just talking to me saying that you weren't quite happy with your setup as well.
Yeah, I thought people would use way higher wings because it's faster over a lap, but we just went way too high, had no top speed, and we got lucky that I didn't lose even more positions.
Okay, was there a concern during that race that you were under quite a lot of pressure?
Yeah, like the whole middle sector I was slowing down so I could go fast in sector 3 and pull a gap to behind, so he wouldn't be close enough to overtake, but it was scary the whole time.
So in some ways, actually, a 3rd place is actually, you're pretty happy with that?
considering the setup blunder, I guess it's all right.
I have to say as well, I think the top three were the only three drivers that didn't get into any sort of damage, ding-dongs, anything like that. What is it about Mexico that is so crazy out there?
I don't know. I had a bit of a bad Mexico last season, so...
All right, well, we go again in a few hours' time in Brazil. So thank you so much. Congratulations. Going to let you get off and I'll bring in Barry. Pop over here, Barry. I mean, it was very, very close to the end, wasn't it? You just nearly managed to get Thomas Ronhaar at the end and you didn't give up. I even saw you at the end, frustrated. It's still second place, though, and it's important championship points.
Yeah, it was not a bad race, of course. I mean, P2 always, it's a good place. But I feel I a little bit played it wrong in my brain, and it was completely my fault, I would say. I think Thomas was really quick, and also GG to him, congrats to him, amazing pace. But I think I kind of didn't want to stay super close because in case he played the DRS game. But it was my fault, I should have stayed closer, and I think P1 was there. These tiny mistakes would punish you. That's why I was a little bit disappointed, but at the same time, you can still P2 in this grid. P2, P1 is always like a good result. And it's kind of, I wanted to dive bomb him, but at the same time, you always have to think, like, what if you dive bomb, you spin, you're losing basically everything. And I think the positive from this is we gained so much on Red Bull as a team constructor, so it's really important.
Did he catch you a little bit by surprise on that first lap, his first overtake to take the lead?
Thomas?
Yes.
I kind of brake a little bit earlier to be safe, but also in Mexico we know like P1, P2 doesn't really matter, you can always switch. So when I see even Thomas went for it, I was really okay with it. I was like, fine, let him have it, and then we just played the long game.
And you mentioned a little bit there to Freddie as you came over, you weren't fully happy with your setup either.
Yeah, I mean, we were quite different setups. I think Freddie was on such higher wings than me, and I was on lower. So it was a little bit tricky. In the middle sector, last sector, I was always getting gapped. And then on the straight, we were really fast. But I think maybe it was too low. So because when the tire was getting used, it was really tricky for me. And maybe the last lap was kind of because of that as well. But because we changed the strategy at the end, I kind of wanted to go with hard to medium. But I just switched to soft, and I think it was not bad. So.
And still at this point, points are very important, and you've got points on the board. That's what we like to see. Congratulations, Barry. Second place for you across the camera. I like it when he does that. Guys, back to you.
Great to hear from Barry and Freddie. And now we are joined by our winner, Thomas Ronhaar. Thomas, well done, first and foremost. Congratulations. Yes. Fantastic race from you. How are you feeling after that one?
I feel the best man of life at the moment. It was such a good race, perfectly managed. First of all, I want to say thank you for the team, because the strategy was on point today. It was pretty simple, because all we had to do kind of was follow the rest. When you're P3 or P4, that's the only thing you can do. Otherwise, you might risk pitting too early, like we happened in Zandvoort, for example, in mixed conditions. Yeah, as you can see on the last lap, definitely managed it to perfection. A bit of luck was involved, definitely. Yeah, very happy to take the win.
We saw you working together with Barry, with Freddie at moments of that race. Tell the viewers at home, how does that situation unfold? Because obviously you're not in direct contact with someone like Barry because you're on different teams.
Yeah. How
do you know, okay, we're going to start working together here?
It's mainly because, well, first of all, Mexico, you can run different wings. So I started to notice Barry was on very low wings and Freddie on very high wings. So I thought about, okay, maybe I should get Freddie in front of me, so I could then, if I'm second or third in the last lap, I can easily get second at least. And Freddie is, of course, my rival in the championship. He's by far, in the lead at the moment. Yeah, definitely in a race situation like this, you want to save the tyres where you can, as most as possible, because you pit as early as possible to get the track position. And if you don't save the tyres, you're going to be in punchy territory. So, like I say, if you can't save and work together with anyone, it's going to be very hard to manage it.
How close were you at the end? What was the percentage?
It was, I think, 73.5%. Oh. So, yeah, if I didn't push as hard, because we were definitely 5-6 tenths off per lap, would have been 77-70%, and that would have been a risk of puncture. But it was the same case for Barry and Freddie and a few others, I think, as well. So, yeah, it's very tough.
I mean, this is obviously our 4th Dutch winner in 4 races here at Mexico. A very integral win for you too, because it's been a long time since Bahrain, and in between it was a very emotional event too as well. How important was this in order to get yourself back on track?
Very important. In all fairness, I knew my pace was great. I never stopped practicing a single day, a single hour. I was fully on it from the moment after event 1. Of course, after event 1, it was a bit of question whether, if everything was going to happen, and I had to focus a lot. I think after 2 days, I can finally say I can rest. And the job isn't done yet. Still 4 more races, sorry. And anything can happen still.
I was going to say, you can't rest too much because we've got Sao Paulo coming up later on.
You've got Sao Paulo coming up, but of course you line up in the best possible position for that one. Are we going to see a repeat? Are you going to be back up here on the desk with us again?
That's the target.
That's the target. Congratulations on that victory. Go and get yourself ready for the next race. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's have a look at how the standings are after that race. Hayden, George, take us through it.
Yeah, so this is how these are updated after this race at Mexico. Freddie Rasmussen, of course, still leading the way, 130 points to 95 now for Thomas Ronhaar. So Thomas Ronhaar shooting up to 2nd position, but all those guys catching up, of course, to championship leader. Jarno Opmeer, bit of disappointment there. Kind of what could have been raced for him after getting that disconnect. I think certainly more points were on the cards, but still within contention. And we've still got 4 races left to go in this event. Anything can happen, especially when we go to somewhere like Vegas, where they're all going to be battling really, really hard. Lucas Blakely is just going to have to forget about this season, go again next time around and see what he can do. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to be possible for him to retain his championship. Danny Beresnay rounds out the top 10 in the standings. Looking further down the order, Jake Benham, he will jump in the car tomorrow, and we'll see what he can do, whether he can move himself up the standings. Brendan Lee, unfortunately, with that DNF, isn't able to add to his tally. A great result, though, for Ruben Pedreño. 11 points total now for him, and also that's going to help him and the team in the Constructors' Championship later on, and move away from Aston Martin, who only still have 1 point for each of their drivers of Simon Weigang and Fabrizio Donoso. And at the back of the field, we have drivers who are unable yet still to score any points, and it is Danny Moreno, who is in 26th position.
Yeah, let's take a look at the constructors as well. And given the fact that Thomas Ronhaar has scored a bountiful of points, 127 now, puts them, well, they still remain in 4th place. It's Red Bull who still occupy the lead, though, 165, still have somewhat of a cushion clear of Ferrari in 2nd. Mercedes, however, dropping down to 3rd with 133. It was very important that both drivers finished in the points towards the very end. Aston Martin had every chance to score more points, still at the very tail end of the field, but look at Alpine, Ruben Pedreño, their results managing to push them up into 9th ahead of Aston Martin.
Lovely. Thank you both very much. We are back with Marcel on the desk. Marcel, what did you make of that race?
Honestly, that was nuts. I mean, from the start with Thomas, like his amazing start, and then we had the first few laps. Actually, they were quite slow pace. Everyone was just maintaining their tires. Everyone was watching out. Okay, is someone jumping the queue, and it's actually triggering the undercuts on the softs to the hards or mediums. And the mediums are also trying to work with the other tires, especially staying with the softs at the beginning, also the hards. So we had a variety of different strategies, and everything was just slowly getting more and more and more exciting. And then once the pit stops happened, I think it was just unbelievable. Like, there was action everywhere. The racing was amazing. So many drivers like going up and down the grid. I think especially Jarno Opmeer, he fell down a lot of places, but he made them back. So not the result he wanted, but he went outside of the points and back into the points. So there were quite a few moments that were remarkable.
Just a few. Do you have any analysis from us? Was there anything in particular that stood out to you?
Yes, I made a little highlight reel of myself from the race. So, of course, like I already mentioned, we had Thomas Ronhaar's amazing start where he went from P4 to P1. Of course, a little bit of contact also with Nicolas Longue, but nothing big there, no damage for either of the drivers, and he's positioning himself on the outside. And honestly, I also, when I was driving on Mexico, always the outside, because you can brake so late, then you take over the racing line into turn 2, and then we have another pass from Ronhaar here again on Frederick and Bari after the pit stops already in lap 16. Beautiful double overtake on the straights, get the move done right before turn 1. Then we have here in lap 17 with Opmeer. He tried to go for something, didn't work out, actually nearly caused a big crash there, but fortunately nothing happened. Also, Alfie Butcher, the youngster, super talented driver, really rate him highly. Going for a move there and also trying something on Rasmussen, gets bunched in. Blakely again on the outside, which turns into the inside, and then again inside for Butcher. He gets the move done. Super, super nice. Wheel-to-wheel racing between the two, and something happened here with Fassi. He lost the rear, and I don't know. He had trouble in the race. He also retired early, so I don't exactly know what happened to Ismail Fassi from Williams Esports. Rough day for him so far, but still great racing that we see here. Respectful between all drivers, and yeah, he gets just sent down the order, unfortunately. But he's super, super talented, also young. We have so many young talents in F1 Esports. Then we have here, again, veteran, two-time champion Jan Opmer fighting with John Evans side by side through the beginning of the middle sector. Another bit of contact. So Jano had actually, like I said, he fell down quite a few places and it looked like he's not going to score any points. And somehow Jano did it again. I mean, here you can see he fell to P13 and it looked really rough. He had low ERS. It didn't look great for him, but he still managed to do it. And this was a big moment. I don't actually know what happened. I think Danny Bersnake just overshot the corner and took out Lucas Blakely with that. Blakely's race was just over, unfortunately, and I think that should be a post-race penalty. Another bit of side-by-side racing, actually this time with Danny Bersnake, and he picked up a little bit of damage, I could see, but it wasn't like crazy. And this battle continues actually into Sector 2, whilst Longo gets pushed a little bit on the grass here. I think that could also cause another penalty and another bit of contact. So much small contacts that they make there, which make Nicolas even ghost, and he's trying to keep position. He just lost one position to Danny Bersnake. Then Jano in lap 35 making a crucial move on Josh Ido, the Red Bull driver. I mean, they're still in the championship in the constructors, and yeah, so I mean, you can literally just rewatch this race over and over again. Like it's actually crazy how many battles we've had, and Jano actually still passed him into turn 1. So yeah, this was kind of my personal highlight reel. I don't know what you guys think. I think that looks pretty good.
I think it looks fantastic. I mean, so much action to try and pack into it. I think you did a good job. Before we wrap things up, I want to know who your driver of the race was. I can't say the date, but we've got another race to come.
Yeah.
I've got my pick.
You've got your pick. You go first then. I'll think about mine. You go first.
You might be mad at me. I'm going to go with Ruben Pedreño.
Okay.
That's a great shout.
Yeah, good shout.
Oh, you didn't have that one?
I didn't have that one. I
that's right.
forgot. No, that is a great shout. I'm going to get boring. I'm going to go easy. Thomas Ronhard, great overtake into the first corner. Swoops around the outside of two of them, takes the lead, and won it from there. So great result for him. So I'm going Thomas.
Yeah.
Marcel? Yeah, Thomas too.
Honestly, like
hard to overlook.
The thing is, Ruben, actually, you're right. He should be driver of the day or driver of the race. But I was also a racer. I like people that win, so
that's the job, isn't it?
And Thomas is doing an amazing job, like for his team. Like he's at the moment, Brandon has a little bit of issues. I also don't know what's going on there, but Thomas is there, so the team is still in the mix, and he keeps the championship alive for the kick team. So I think he's doing an amazing job there. I think he can be proud, and the team knows also if one driver is falling apart because of technical issues, they can always rely on one of the two. Because I mean, Brandon, two-time champion. Ronhard, maybe champion, who knows? He's still in the mix, so yeah, I think I would also go with Thomas.
Well, Thomas kicking off event 3 exactly how he would want to. We will try to get to the bottom of what happened with Brendan Lee as well, because we're not entirely sure, but I'm sure Claire's been out finding information, so we will get back to you with that. But we're going to go on a short break. When we come back, Marcel will be back having a little chat with some of the drivers, and then we will go racing for the final race of the day. So go and get yourself a drink, refresh yourself, and then come back and make sure you join us. We'll be back shortly.
So a few years back, when I was about 11 or so, I was just playing FIFA and stuff like this, just with my mates every time after school. Managed to get a wheel for Christmas one year, I think it was in 2019 or so. And and it sparked my interest for racing games, and I started playing Forza, and then eventually the next year I started playing F1, and I managed to find my way into a league through my mate, and and went from there, going through the ranks. So my day's quite full on during the esports season. I basically get up, go to school, study for my A-levels, and come home at around 3, or if I'm lucky I finish early at about 1:30, and then from there on get something to eat, and then straight onto the sim rig, doing practice for the upcoming races, basically all the way up until I go to sleep that night. So yeah, it's quite full on.
Butcher now ahead of Yildirim. Your theory is correct, and now Yildirim has got to try and back the field up, if that is indeed the plan here, Hayden.
Yeah, but it's going to be very difficult. He's on very old hard tyres compared to the rest of the field, but even if it's just for a couple of corners, use all of the battery, burn it all, and he is there. He's got 60% just to stay ahead and then slow them down through the corners.
Round centre they go, wheel to wheel, they make contact, but it's Alfie Butcher, the Challengers champion, a debut victory here for the young man. Incredible, what a performance.
So I think the best thing to have is internal motivation. You want to be striving towards something. Definitely having something to aim for is a good thing to have. Helps you remain focused and gives you something to work towards day by day, and it keeps your motivation high, and then that also means productivity is at its highest.
Welcome guys back to the Players Lounge, where all of the drivers are hanging out when nothing is going on or when they are just relaxing. I'm here with arguably the biggest talent in F1 sim racing in the last few years. He's 17 years old. He got his first win when he was 16 at Austria, just at the last event, and it's no one else than Alfie Butcher. You can say hi if you want, but you don't
Hi,
need
everyone.
to. I'm super stoked to have you here, Alfie. I mean, we have been racing, I think, in league racing a little bit, never in esports because I retired. I'm an old man, you're the youngster. But honestly, like, first things first, you can be very proud of yourself. Like, with your age, that achievement, what you've already done, you're literally the storyline that F1 was telling everyone to do from your bedroom. And I saw your sim rig, I think it was even in the living room of your parents. It wasn't even your bedroom. So you're practicing in the living room.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, it's kind of my dedicated area now. Parents thankfully don't mind too much, but yeah, I mean, I guess it has to do, and it's paying off okay.
I mean, it definitely does, but I want to know from you, what do your parents say, or what did they say initially when your sim rig was staying there and friends came over and they were like, what is this?
Well, I mean, my parents are always quite supportive of this. Obviously, my friends were quite sceptical at first, but now my friends, they watch on and they're always supporting me at school and stuff like that. But yeah, it's really nice to have the support from both family and friends.
I can imagine, but it's good to hear also, I mean, you're still at school, which is absolutely insane because a lot of these drivers are doing it full-time, but you have to study for exams, you still have to go to a regular school, you get up in the morning, then you come back in the evening, you drive, you work with your teammates, they have also to be understanding, so I can imagine it's quite challenging.
Yeah.
But you've just came back from a P4 at Mexico, so how do you do it?
Yeah, I mean, start with the race. The race was really good. We struggled a little bit, but the low wing setup definitely helped us a lot. But yeah, back to the practicing and studying point. It's I basically obviously get up, go to school, and then as soon as I'm home, I'm on the rig practicing until I go to sleep. So it's a pretty full-on day, but I mean, hard work pays off.
That's amazing. Honestly, like, I mean, I literally, F1 esports started when I finished with school, but you're still at school. That's crazy to me. I don't know if I would be able to handle that. I mean, you have the school pressure, then you have also this, and you're probably sitting at school thinking, all of my competitors, they have the free time now, they can drive. If I would have these hours, I would already be esports champion.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a hint of that, but I think it's good to, I mean, doing school as well as esports, it kind of gets me out of the house a bit. I mean, you can socialise as well, so it's a good balance to have, but obviously I lose a little bit of practice time, but I think it's the healthy option.
Okay, and so aside from school and racing, do you do anything else, or is it literally just go to school, racing, and on the weekends you take your weekend as sim practice and then go back to school?
Well, I mean, I'm a big football fan. I used to play football, so I sometimes go to watch my football team play, or sometimes I do other sports and stuff. But, I mean, recently it's just been practice for F1. But, yeah, I sometimes go to football matches and watch my mates play because I don't play anymore. But, yeah, football's probably my hobby outside of this.
So you're also playing football on a console or only in real life?
Nah, I don't play FIFA at the minute, but I go to watch the football games in real life. I'm a big West Ham fan. So.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So in Brazil, what is your starting position again in Brazil?
P6.
P6. So you finished P4. You started, I think, P5 in Mexico? Or no,
6 again.
Okay, and so P6, do you think this time it will be a podium?
I mean, I hope so. I think we can definitely fight from the podium. The pace in Brazil in the race is looking really good. So if it goes nicely and is smooth, then I'm hopeful we can get on the podium.
That's amazing. Honestly, Alfie, thank you very much for your time, and I wish you all the best for the next race. I'm sure you will do well, and can't wait to see you probably breaking all the esports records in the next few years.
No, I appreciate that.
Thank you very much. And now we are also going to talk to Brendan Lee, and we're going to watch a video of him next.
If you see Simon spinning out of the race, you can blame me for this one.
And the mustache.
And the mustache. And the mustache, of course. We have like this jar of like chocolates outside, and they have bounties in them. And it's disgusting. Genuinely, it's disgusting.
My first interest in Formula One esports came on the 21st of August 2017 when they launched the series on Twitter. I actually saw it, and ever since then I was invested. Ever since then I knew this is what I wanted to do.
Brendan Lee, the man from Reading, is under big pressure now. Look at the focus in his eyes, because Sven Zerner behind has the DRS and he wants to make a move for the championship. Up the inside, and they make a bit of contact, and he goes wide.
Of course, memorable experiences for me are winning the 2 World Championships.
Here comes Brendan Lee through the final corner. He has had to work for it, but he takes victory in Abu Dhabi, and surely victory in the F1 Esports Series of 2017. The first ever F1 Esports champion. He's shaking his head. I think he's a bit stressed.
You should be happy because today you were amazing.
He just won the F1 Esports Series and he's shaking his head because he's like, I didn't win by 7 seconds.
Balancing my life and F1 esports is pretty difficult. To be honest, I don't really have a balance because I want to be at my best, I want to do the best, and I want to achieve wins, race championships, and everything along the way in F1 esports. So I don't really have a balance with the rest of my life because I just put all of my energy into being my best, really.
Brendan Lee across the line to take the victory at Paul Ricard in round 4 of the F1 Esports Pro Series.
Do I have any pre-race routines, superstitions? To be honest, no. I prefer just to think about what I need to do in the race. I don't think about getting in the rig from the left side or the right side or listening to a certain song. Ultimately, I'm just there to do my best, and I don't believe there's something doing pre-race that can change this.
So we are back, and I am in company of 2-time champion of the world, Mr. Brendan Lee.
Of the world.
Of the world.
Of the world.
Sim racing legend, honestly.
You're very flattering, I have to say.
Brendan, first of all, I mean, we are very good friends, and I've got a little gift for you. let me.
Is it Ben & Jerry's?
No, it's like an actual gift. Wait.
It's an actual gift?
Yeah.
I'm excited but nervous at the same time.
Okay. So we have the gift here.
Wait, can we just pause a second?
No,
can we pause?
You wait
because
a second.
This is better wrapping than I ever done at Christmas.
Oh, wait, 1 second. You will get it in a second, but this is... Are you accepting my gift? Okay, then you know what? You can take the rest of the gift and you can open it.
Oh, no. Oh, no way! Wait. So we have 1 packet, 2 packet, 3 packet. Wow. I can't count. 4. 5. Why 5? 6. That's hitting the cup. 7, 8, 9. What? Thank you, but
So, I mean, we've heard in Event 2 that he doesn't like the bounties and he's missing his Maltesers.
terrible, but this is... Wait, I need my microphone back. Wait. So, first of all, whoever planned this and whoever did this, thank you. And I need to be handing out Maltesers to everyone in the arena because this is just great. And I don't think airport security would let me take this many Maltesers back through the plane.
I think they will. They know you.
They know me. Okay? they know me, really. I'm really surprised by this, to be honest. I don't really know what to say. Honestly, if someone got me that for Christmas, I would be really happy. Like...
All right, so in case you're celebrating Christmas with Brendan Lee,
like,
you know what to go for. Like he's gonna be a happy man.
Can I just say, like, F1 esports or sim racing, whatever, they've spent more budget on Maltesers than I get salary per month.
Oh my God, Brendan, you know that your team is listening too. And they're standing next.
Yeah, they're standing over there. They're like, whoa. But if they gave me a bonus in Maltesers, I would be really happy.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, it's better than Freddo's, I guess.
Oh, no. Okay.
Freddo's,
you can never come back to the UK.
Okay.
No.
Let's skip that story because otherwise I will get in trouble. But anyways, Brendan, I mean, you have so much history, and we together as well. I still, when we sat here, it feels like back in 2017 when you qualified for the finals and I didn't, and we were still in the hotel talking about what's possible with this whole F1 esports. Back then it was still called F1 esports. Now it's F1 sim racing, and it just all grew so much. Like it's actually crazy, you know.
Do you know what? I remember that because you did a really mega race in the Silverstone semi-final. You went from qualifying in the last row and you went to P3 by the lap 1. And I remember watching this because we was in separate heats. I was like, my guy is cooking. Well, I didn't say cooking because we did not say this back then. But if I went back in time, I'd be like, he's cooking. But yeah, really, and you helped me, to be honest, really a lot with the Canada prep, etc. on that event because we had Canada, Spa and Abu Dhabi. Back in the day, we did not have private lobbies to practice in. So you had to invite people to your lobby. You had to have a teammate to practice with. And Marcel, my guy, was cooking with me in the Canada prep. And yeah, honestly, if was not an official teammate, was a teammate. Even, you know, so it was
and
cool.
then in the future, we kind of became teammates.
We
and spent
did.
a lot of time.
We lived together.
Yeah. So
and we ate a lot of ice cream.
Yeah, Ben & Jerry's a bit too much, but it's been a good time. We are sharing a lot of memories, and all thanks to F1 sim racing. Otherwise, we would have never met. And
do you know what? It's crazy. It's been like 7-8 years now in this industry, and really, I was thinking about this a few days ago. Of course, life has many different paths, many different avenues, etc. But you know, there's people around here what's doing their passion, and they're driving, managing, doing everything that maybe they would have loved to do in another life, but that now they have the opportunity to do. And of course, there's a lot of stuff that we saw in the last few months, a lot of stuff to improve in even going forward. But as a baseline, to do your dream as your life, it's not bad. It's not bad.
Can't complain, no?
Well, you can complain, but
I mean, you can't complain. You have your Maltesers now, so you're a happy guy.
This is crazy. This is a lot of calories, what I'll be eating tonight.
If they don't hand you out a sponsorship after all what you did here for free, then I don't know anymore. Like, they definitely need to hit you up.
Do you know what? I was walking around the supermarket yesterday trying to find Maltesers,
here.
and in Stockholm.
No way.
Yeah, I was.
Are you addicted to them?
No, I was trying to buy them for the staff, actually. Because I saw that they did not have the Maltesers here, so I was looking around and trying to find them. I found a knockoff brand, but they're not as good.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt, but have you been disappointed when you walked in here and you still saw that there's no Maltesers?
I came yesterday to install the pedals and I almost walked out. No, honestly, like, this was ridiculous. Like, I complained. I didn't say anything else to improve between Event 2 and Event 3, but I said the chocolate, and they did not improve the chocolate.
All right, I mean, my guy has priorities, so...
I have priorities, for sure.
So, yeah, I mean, he might not want your setup, but he wants your Maltesers, so at least he knows what he wants, so that's a positive. No, but... crazy to think how long this has already been going, and also how much you progressed from being so young and winning and also growing as a person. I mean, you're doing your marathons. You also, I think you announced on Twitter that for each point that you score in this final event, you will do
maybe that's why my wheel made me DNF.
Because I knew the legs would be done.
But I'm looking to get back into running. During the season, it's really hard to be running because you're just spending your time driving. But I want to do a few more 100-kilometer running races. There's one in June 14th and July 11th that I'm looking to do. So it should be cooking.
You know, the guy is acting like a few more 100-kilometer races like it's nothing. I mean,
actually, this is something I've not talked about publicly, so it would be the first time I talk about this publicly. I want to run the whole UK. It would take me 26 days if I did 50 kilometers per day, 26 days not continuous running, but that is the time that it would take me of running.
I mean, you've got your energy,
100%.
You've got the calories that you need for that, so.
It'll be great. Do you know what? I would be cooking.
I swear, if you would message Maltesers and tell them that you're going to do this and you're just going to fuel yourself up by eating Maltesers, you have your sponsorship and you will be a happy man for the rest of your life.
I got followed by Kit Kat Gaming on Twitter last year because do you remember when I was triggering people by biting the whole Kit Kat?
Yeah,
they followed me.
What is you in chocolate?
Final debate, chocolate in the fridge or in the cupboard? I think in the fridge.
Fridge.
Yeah,
Fridge.
my guy.
All right, Brendan. So, final question to round it off. What are your thoughts for the next race?
Just send it, to be honest. We're starting from P15, so I can't say my strategy completely. But if you thought Mexico was chaos, I think Brazil is going to be another step up. I think there's a lot of people gunning for a lot more positions in the championship, but of course adds chaos, especially with being so close to the end of the championship with only 2 days away. Even if we're like 3, 4, 5, 4? No, we're still 4 races away from the championship finishing. So we're still 4 races away from the championship, but it's over 2 days. So people have a lot of intensity. Every point matters. And they're just going to be sending it.
I mean, that's Brendan Lee for you guys. Thank you very much for joining, and I wish you all the best. So,
cheers, my guy.
All the best, bro.
Thank you very much.
And we are going to go for a little break, and then we are right back for you guys.
Hello everyone and welcome back to event 3. Wow, well, we had an exciting race in Mexico City that saw Thomas Ronhaar taking victory. It was action-packed, it was drama-filled, and we loved every single second of it. Thomas Ronhaar will be hoping to repeat that victory, and he lines up in the perfect position to do just that. He lines up in pole position for our next race, round 9, as we visit Brazil. One of my personal favourite tracks. I cannot wait to see how the drivers go around there. But before we get into that, let's have a little look at where the standings are after round 8. So, having a look at the driver standings, Freddie Rasmussen sits on the top still with 130 points. Thomas Ronhaar with 95 points, closing that gap slightly. And then we have Barry Bromond, who is with 93 points, only 2 points separating him and Thomas Ronhaar. Jarno Opmeer with 73 points, Alfie Butcher with 62, Lucas Blakey on 59, Nicholas Longuet 54, Ismail Farsi 53, and then a little bit of a gap as we make our way down to Josh Edo on 35 and Daniel Brezhne on 33, followed closely by Brendan Lee with 32 points. And then Jake Benham 27, Tom Manley 21. And as we continue down, Ruben Pedrona, who managed to just grab himself some very valuable points for the team, sitting with 11 points. And then we make our way down to those who are yet to score, all the way down to Danny Marino on no points. And if we now have a little look at the constructors' standings, it is Red Bull who are still sitting at the top of that leadership table. 165 points, Ferrari with 147, Mercedes 133, Kick closing the gap with 127, McLaren on 71, Williams 67, Haas 62, and then we have a gap to AlphaTauri with 38, Alpine on 13, and Aston Martin sitting at the bottom on just 2 points. And that is how things look as we head into round 9. And we're straight into interviews. You guys should be used to this by now. And I am joined by Jeffrey Ritfeld from AlphaTauri. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing, first of all? Day 1 of event 3. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Nice to be here. Normally I'm driving myself, so to take the engineering role is a little bit different. I mean, I did engineering from home during event 2, so still getting into it, but yeah, enjoying myself.
And how are you finding it being here in Sweden then?
Yeah, it feels great. I mean, I love traveling for sim racing, and I mean, it's the best of the world, right, in the game. So yeah, feels nice to be here, feel the atmosphere, which lacked a bit last time when I did it from home, so yeah.
And looking back on the race that we have just had in Mexico, it was action-packed to say the least, but how did the team feel after it?
I think we could be pretty pleased because we had 2 cars outside of the top 10 when starting the race, and for sure, I mean, there's still some penalties to be reviewed, but we will have 1 car in the points at least. So we made progress, so I think we can be happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And now you get to give it another go as we head into the final race of the day. Thoughts and feelings going into that one?
I think we're looking pretty good. We had 2 cars in Q3, starting 8th and 9th.
Yeah.
So big step up from Mexico. So yeah, of course we want 2 cars to be in the points for sure, and hopefully we can progress a little bit.
And the 2 drivers, as you said, starting P8, P9, right next to each other, do you think you'll be able to use that to your benefit?
I think so. It's always nice to have a teammate around you. Of course, we will have to see what other teams do with the starting tire, right? But I think we'll play the team game, and hopefully it will play out.
And what are some of the key things that you as a team are looking out for when we go to this race in Brazil?
For me, weather specifically.
Yes.
I think there's a big chance of a rain shower. So yeah, I need to monitor that closely and make the right calls really at the right time. Other than that, we know what to do with the strategy. So yeah, let's see what the weather does really.
Let's see what the weather does. We have seen lots of changing conditions throughout the earlier events, but let's see how it holds up in Brazil. Thank you so much for joining us. Claire, over to you.
Thank you, Ariana. I came down here to Haas to speak to Robert Timbus, the engineer at Haas. A qualifying session that you can be quite happy with going into Brazil, surely?
Yeah, mixed feelings because, we finished P6 with Alfie, P10 with Ulash. I'm happy both drivers are in Q3, finished in Q3, but we had a technical issue in our last lap with Alfie. we could finish also P1 or P2, but he had a screen freeze in the last corner. And we just dropped more than 1/10 in this corner with this screen freeze. So, yeah, that's why I say mixed feelings. But of course, good to start with both drivers in top 10.
Let's look back at the race we've just had. A chaotic race, quite a lot of different things going on. But actually, Alfie kind of kept his nose clean, didn't he?
Yeah, we were expecting to have a chaotic race, what we had. But, yeah, fortunately, everything happened behind us with Alfie, so didn't affect us too much. So we were happy with P4. I think that was the best result we could have with Alfie in Mexico. So we are happy, really.
Event 2 was such a positive event as well for Alfie, grabbing his first win, obviously, in F1 sim racing as well. It's hard to top that, I know, but do you think there could be another win over the next few days?
For sure. Right on the next race, maybe. Our preparation was really good again. We are prepared for every single situation. We have, of course, a part of any wing damage. You cannot do too much on a 50% race if you have wing damage. So, yeah, let's see.
And the event in general, we've got 2 tracks that we've not been to before. One of the tracks I'm particularly looking forward to is Las Vegas. Is that going to be an interesting one?
No, because I
don't say no.
I compare this track to Mexico. It will be a chaotic race. I can say this, I think, and most of the drivers and team managers and engineers would agree, I think. So I like the tracks, the traditional tracks better, where if you have the pace, you can finish in the front. In tracks like Las Vegas, you need also some luck to avoid all the big crashes. So yeah,
I mean, Lady Luck in Las Vegas, exactly what was on the, it's on the tin.
Yeah. If luck is in our side, I have no problem with Las Vegas. So let's see.
I'm looking forward to all of them. It's going to be really exciting. But let's get ready for Brazil, because that's what we're racing right now. Firstly, though, let's have a look at what happened in qualifying.
And Thomas Ronha now takes the top time at 1:07.034 and goes faster than Jed Norgrove.
I was very happy to get pole position with my banker lap already. To be able to do that was something I never thought would be able to do with the pace I thought I had. Turned out to be better than expected. Great qualifying today, and yeah, let's see what happens in the race.
But getting a nice exit out of Junsao. He's going to try and keep the car tight in order to extract as much delta as possible. It's literally flat on zero. He comes straight in.
So next up is Brazil. My favorite track, so I'm very looking forward to drive on that track again.
Yeah, so Brazil is a very, I think in my opinion, a fun track to drive. Out of the 5, definitely the most fun in terms of cleanness. Maybe not like, let's say, well, you have Las Vegas and let's say Mexico, probably better racing for like more chaos. But in terms of drivers, Brazil is definitely one of the favourites, if not the favourite.
Heads up towards the line, he does go second fastest. Nicholas Longue, he'll make his way towards the line. Trumps there, Lucas Blakely.
Every year I perform very well there. Hopefully I can do the same again this year. I think it's an even stronger track for us as a team, so maybe things will be looking good.
Even though it's a very chill track, there'll still be chaos with certain decisions that might get made during the race, strategies, mixed conditions maybe.
It's Alfie Butcher up to 6th. Freddie Rasmussen topples Gang and takes second place in his own right. Front row of the grid once again on offer here for Freddie Rasmussen, but Thomas Ronha fastest here at Brazil.
Gonna be a hell of a race. Yeah, I can't wait to get started.
Great to see how things unfolded in qualifying. I'm joined now by another guest, Gregory Balashi from the Alpine team. Can we start by talking about the race in Mexico City and Ruben's performance?
Yeah, we can start from there. It's a good thing. Like, it's good to be back on event 3 by having such a good race. Nice comeback from P18, I think, if I'm not wrong, for Ruben to P5. That shows that in race we are there. We showed it last time in Kota before we left event 2. And that just shows that we are always there to fight. That's massive positive, even if qualies are not on our side yet. But we feel good. and that's just something that we can carry on throughout the event.
He really pulled it out of the bag when we were speaking on the desk after a couple of the guys saying he was their driver of the race. Such a fantastic performance. What worked so well for him?
He really managed to keep good pace when he tried to get back up into the field on the hards. He was the latest one to box, I think, with Patrick. They boxed lap 21 and 22. Our goal was to take the freshest tires on the entire field because we knew it was going to bunch up. There was going to be fight, and that's what happened with the soft runners who boxed super early. He was focused on doing the moves one by one because he was catching small group of drivers, and then he made the magic.
He did make the magic indeed. I'm sure that is a nice confidence boost and very encouraging as we head into this race. Of course, starting a little bit further down at the field now, both drivers at the back end of the grid. But what are you aiming for today?
If we can try again to fight for points, we'll obviously take it.
Yes.
And we'll try to aim at that. It's not going to be easy on Brazil. Brazil has less opportunity to overtake than Mexico, and strategy has also less differences. We are still capable of fighting back, I think, but it's going to be a bigger challenge than Mexico.
So what do you think a realistic target is? Give me a position.
I think maybe getting places to go back to top 12.
Okay.
But then getting the points is going to be really tricky. It will depend on the scenario of the race. We could maybe end up P7 or just get stuck P13 if there is not enough fighting. So it's going to be really tricky for the drivers.
Well, we look forward to seeing how it all unfolds. Thank you so much for joining us. Good luck to all of the team. I think that's enough talking. I think it's time to get into it. George and Hayden, let's get racing.
Established back on the 12th of May 1940, the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace, his first Formula One race, would come in 1972, with it being won by Argentinian Thomas Reutemann. In its modern era, famously, Lewis Hamilton would capture his very first World Championship crown after a dramatic ending to the Grand Prix, with Timo Glock's Toyota running slowly on the final lap, following Lewis Hamilton overtaking him to then deny Brazilian hometown hero, then Ferrari driver Felipe Massa, his first World Championship. It has become a staple on the Formula One Sim Racing World Championship calendar, with it being run since 2019 and has been won by 4 different race winners on all 4 occasions since. Of course, looking at it, plenty of long straights. You've got DRS opportunity coming out of Junsao. That is detection 2 points before you then reach the speed trap heading in towards turn 1. We're out of turn 2. You'll hit the next detection point before then heading down the Reta Aposta. We're going to be in for a real treat, folks. Plenty of action to be had. Brazil always raises a stormer, and I'm sure in this bid to crown a World Drivers' Championship here in Event 3, we're going to see eruptions this time around. But first of all, let's check out the starting grid. From back to front, Ruben Pedreni, after that blissful performance last time out, he's going to have to do something again from P20. Daniel Berejnay joins him on the back row for Mercedes. Further up the order, Patrick Schipos, Ruben's teammate, in 18th. Barry Brunnerman in 17th place for Ferrari, less than ideal. Josh Ido in 16th, with Brendan Lee in 15th, recovering after the technical issues he sustained back at Mexico. In P14, it's Jarno Opmeer alongside Scotsman Wilson Hughes, representing McLaren, in 13th. Further up, Ishmael Fassi starting P12, with Fabrizio Donoso Delgado in 11th place. Moving on into the top 10, we have Ulas Ojildarim in 10th place, with Jed Norgrove in 9th. Moving up to P8, we have Joni Tormela, with Nicholas Longay in 7th place for Ferrari. In 6th, it's Alfie Butcher in that position, alongside Alvaro Carreton for Williams as well in 5th. Moving on to the second row of the grid, we head to Lucas Blakely in 4th, and an astounding performance from Simon Weigang against the grain of the championship so far, starting in 3rd place, much needed for Aston Martin. And on the front row, they'll duel again, this time at Sao Paulo. It's Freddie Rasmussen starting P2, with Thomas Ronhaar after his victory back at Mexico
he's on pole position ahead of this race at São Paulo. It's going to be a real treat, folks. It's going to be hectic heading in towards turn 1. Your commentary team here, George Morgan, joining me as always, Hayden Gullis. And Hayden, not a lot could probably top Mexico, but I will say Brazil has the capabilities.
Yeah, we've heard already from a few drivers that they don't think it's going to be as easy to overtake around here compared to the likes of Mexico. But, you know, this F1 sim racing season always seems to throw something in there, and I'm sure these guys will not be afraid to go wheel to wheel around this circuit. It's difficult in the midsection because if you start to get a little bit too aggressive, you're going to start to lose time, lose the train, and if you lose the train, you lose DRS, and then you just become a sitting duck to all the cars behind you. So you have to be smart about when you go for those overtakes. But there's a really long start-finish straight that comes all the way from the last proper corner, which is, of course, turn 12, and then the other ones don't really count. They're just sort of little kinks. So you're flat out through those ones. And then also you've got the opportunity on the run down to turn 4 as well. So there are overtaking opportunities, but you don't want to go wheel to wheel because it's going to lose you time. No, not at least until the end of the race, and then it's just like everything's off the car, everything's off the tables. Go for it.
Yeah, now, looking back at qualifying, we speak about how hectic things could be. It was hectic in qualifying, mixed conditions. Ferrari in a little bit of a tough spot. Barry obviously starting further back on the grid. He will be starting in that P17 position. But we've also got to talk a little bit about Nicolas Longuet here, Hayden, because of course penalty, he's dropped down the grid order slightly. 3 places. Yep,
3 place penalty during the qualifying proceedings. The drivers are told not to ready up in the menu section. You know, he got a warning for doing it in Mexico qualifying and then did it again in Brazil. And has unfortunately for him been given a 3 place grid penalty. So that is going to drop him back down the order, unfortunately, heading into this race. I've had a look at the weather. I've gone and look at the driver's screens. I've gone and look at the blocks that indicate what the weather's going to do for the whole race. And I can tell you, George, it's going to be dry. No rain is on the radar for this race at all.
Well, we heard from Jeffrey Rietveld as well, of course, a prominent GT racer, now working with the team at AlphaTauri in the F1 Sim Racing World Championship. There you can see the conditions there, folks. In fact, speak of the devil. Light cloud, 22 degrees to 72 Fahrenheit. We have, of course, got a 30-degree track temperature, which is moderate. Very low humidity at 4%, so no concerns necessarily with the wet weather. But yes, obviously, Jeffrey Rietveld airing his concerns that Brazil is known to be a track that offers mixed conditions. We've seen that in the past. Again, going back into real life, Lewis Hamilton winning his very first championship off the back of Timo Glock's very slow Toyota. It's something we're familiar with, and especially after what we saw in Event 2, we thought we might see somewhat of the trend continuing, but it turns out it will not be. There's a few drivers that are going to be looking to try and march their way through the field. Looking ahead, we've got some on the reverse strats as well, Hayden, we've got to consider, because you've got to look at the likes of certainly the likes at the very back. You've got Barry Burman.
Yeah, Barry Burman. You've got Danny Beresne down out of position, Josh Ido as well. Drivers who are out of position that, you know, are teams that are fighting for the Constructors' Championship. So what are they going to be doing to switch it up and try and go full attack later on in this race as we're getting ready to go running? I'm interested to see what Brendan Lee can potentially do. Obviously, he had that issue with the steering wheel, but we're going to be getting underway for the race.
Yeah, certainly will. As you can see, all the cars now lined up on the grid. It's Ron Ha and Rasmussen as all 5 lights are lit. And it's pedal to the metal. And it is go, 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 go. Great start again from Thomas Ronhart, but the inside line will favour Freddie Rasmussen. He hasn't got enough purchase, though, alongside the Kick F1 car. And Ronhart will carry on in front here at Sao Paulo. Further back, there's a lot of jostling with Wilson Hughes, Brendan Lee, Josh Ido, Barry Burman trying to ascend. He is now in 16th, and Patrick Sheepos behind him. Beresne trying to make places. Otmir at the back here.
Strong start there for Simon Weigang. It looks like there's an issue for Jarno Otmir. He's reaching forward to his steering wheel. Something's gone wrong there, and he's dropped right down to the back of the order in P20. Started this race from just outside. He got knocked out in Q2, but now it's unfortunately dropped right down to the back of the order, and it's going to have to all to do. But what I was saying, Simon Weigang looking good for him. Obviously a fantastic qualifying performance for himself, and we are going to get a lobby restart. So we're going to get a lobby restart. So that was just a nice sort of teaser for us. Can show you maybe what could happen later on in this race, of course. But yeah, for someone like, I suppose, Simon Weigang, this is going to be so frustrating because you've just been put in a position where you nailed it. You know, he started third in this race and he is able to maintain that position. But now he has to do that again. That's surely going to unsettle him slightly. You know, there shouldn't be too much of a problem. Do exactly what you just did. But of course, There's other variables that step into it. Rasmussen could put his car in a different place. Ron Haar could get off to a bad start this time and hold you up. It could all switch up here. And those who missed out, Jarno Wout-Mir obviously had the issue. This is a chance for him to get himself back into this race, of course, and have a good run at it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're Ferrari, you're hoping that it's not Zandvoort again in many ways.
Yeah,
because obviously we're now back in restart territory as we were for the Dutch Grand Prix as well. But yeah, it's all calm at the moment and collected. Danny Berejnay, we're currently observing, of course, his teammate struggling with his own issues with the fact that he went from P14 down to the back of the grid, but restart underway, and we will be looking to proceed now anew as the drivers get prepared. But yes, I mean, again, a little bit of surface tension, I would say, off the back of that, but you're absolutely spot on. I mean, how are some of these drivers going to be feeling about all this? We've got Simon Weigang, who I'm sure is going to be absolutely gutted with the fact that we have got to restart now.
Yeah, he'll be annoyed, but he'll be also confident in the fact that he trusts his own ability. He trusts that he knows what to do out on track, of course, still to maintain that position. But like I say, all it takes is a mistake from somebody else and it could cost you, and you could be so frustrated, and then there's not a restart, of course, because there's no tech issues, and that race continues, and he's right down at the back of the order. Let's hope, though, it's a strong start once again for Simon Weigang, and he can hold that position, or maybe even look further up the field. Thomas Ron Haar, of course, another one. You know, he won the last race in Mexico. We'll be looking to do the double here today, and he'll be looking to making sure that he gets off to a good start and, you know, tries to hold off Freddie Rasmussen. Although, even if he does drop down to second place, it's still going to allow you guys, those guys, to work together. It'd be interesting to see what the strategy does. I don't have the rule book in front of me, so I don't know if they have to pick the same tyres that they selected in the previous race, or do the teams look at what everyone else did and think, oh, do you know what, maybe I'm going to do here. But the strategy, the way it sort of worked out, was you had half the grid on softs and the rest of the grid on hards. It was basically like the front runners up to a certain point, soft tyres, and then the rest of the drivers on hards, and then they would probably switch them over later on in the race. So it gives us a slight indication of what the strategies are going to be doing later on, or maybe, you know, we might see some mediums mixed in there later on in the race.
Yeah, I mean, this is somewhat okay news, I think, for Rasmussen, because obviously it means he can have another crack at Ron Haar into turn one. But I mean, Ron Haar had a very, very good getaway, exactly the same really from what we saw at Mexico. He definitely looks in a different spot in comparison to event two. He, of course, seems to have come out with bursts of confidence. I mean, just to put it on pole the way he did, there was a couple of occasions where he wasn't even leaving himself delta in qualifying, and still enlisting those fast laps that we continue to enjoy seeing. But yes, obviously looking to come back again, and no doubt Ron Haar be looking for the same getaway he had last time out. But yeah, how about this to settle your nerves? I mean, obviously you can see that some are taking it better than others. Wilson Hughes with a smile on his face, and he's someone who's obviously had his own trials and tribulations. We hark back to Mexico, where he started pretty much from the rear of the field, and he also picked up a penalty to boot as well, Hayden.
Yeah, they're going to need a strong result here today, because they're in their own fight. Of course, Constructors champions from last season, it's not quite worked out. McLaren looking at their driver lineup, whilst Wilson Hughes does have the ability, you know, they had such a strong lineup with two experienced drivers of Lucas Blakely and Barry Brumman. Yes, okay, it did kind of hinder them maybe at the later stages where they had to work out strategy and you know, those two drivers fighting against each other. But now you've got a situation where Lucas is getting some terrible luck out there, and Wilson Hughes is going for a rookie season and trying to gain as much experience as he possibly can. But they're in their own fight in the Constructors. McLaren Shadow currently 5th in the Constructors. They're fighting with Williams. There are the Williams drivers right there, Ismael Fassi and Alvaro Caraton, going into this Brazilian Grand Prix race. But we've also got the Haas, and after that P4 for Alfie Butcher in Mexico. That puts them right in the fight, of course, for 5th position in the Constructors. We've got McLaren 71, Williams 67, and Haas on 62. So there are fights, no matter where you are, all the way down the grid. Apart from maybe AlphaTauri, who are kind of in no man's land at the moment, and then Alpine and Aston Martin are, of course, fighting against each other. Great result, of course, for Alpine last time out in Mexico, but Aston Martin have Simon Weigang starting 3rd position. If he manages to bring that home, then it flips once again, and Aston Martin, with those 15 points, would leapfrog Alpine and take themselves off the bottom.
Yeah. no, absolutely right. Incredible. But yeah, the points gaps are starting to close up, and they will continue to do so. And no doubt this tension isn't going to help things, given the fact that Rasmussen will be looking to try and consolidate his advantage up at the front. But yeah, truly fascinating. We'll have to wait and see who's going to gamble and succeed more when we get things going again. I mean, Weigang will be hoping to proceed onwards. I mean, they've got to answer back against Alpine now, because obviously Pedreño obtaining P5, real solid points haul. I mean, they came into the last race still in front of Aston Martin anyway. I mean, it was only a single point, but now since getting that P5, they've ascended obviously clear due to that result. So it's down to, down to Aston Martin to try and bring something back.
Yeah, I mean, well, Alpine didn't have a good qualifying in both sessions. They were out in Q1, right down at the back of the order, but yet Pedreño was able to pull it out and score 5th position, which was massive. And that's before the stewards' results. That might be taken away, or it might be, a better result if a penalty goes to somebody else. So this could get very interesting between those two teams. And obviously Aston Martin were looking going into these two races like, okay, we've got Simon Weigang in 3rd position. That's going to help us, overtake Alpine, who are only a couple of points ahead of us, and we can really extend our gap away from them. Now coming into this race, it's kind of the opposite. They've got a big gap to Alpine ahead of them, and they're going to need a strong race today from Simon to lead from the front in terms of their two drivers and try and bring those points home. But there's Danny Berezne getting into the session. I can see on their screens they're loading into the session now, so there will not be long until we get into today's race.
Yeah, no, absolutely spot on. But of course, we do have some milestones to keep an eye on. We did allude to Freddie Rasmussen getting closer and closer to that 1,000 points milestone. Of course, since he joined Red Bull. Of course, if you factor in 2017, he had obviously scored quite an abundance of points, but teams only came into the championship in 2018 onwards. Of course, since then, we've seen some incredible stats on part of Freddie, and no doubt he'll continue to add more to his name. And for Thomas Ronhart, that last win made it win number 4 in his career, as well as 11 podiums so far to boot too, as well as 7 pole positions after achieving pole here for this very race. And he'll obviously be looking to move those numbers onwards and upwards in his bid to be furthermore successful. And certainly the win last time will go a long way to achieving that. Barry Burremand also elongating his stats somewhat, with podiums now standing at 12 after achieving what he did in that previous race, that podium finish at Mexico. He, of course, also achieving 4 poles off the back of qualifying on pole for Mexico City. But there is Lucas Blakely, current reigning champion. Things haven't quite been firing, and he had his own moments again at Mexico, Hayden. What's he got to do to turn all this around?
I think he just needs to forget about this season and hope for a luckier one next season, because it's just not gone his way. Obviously, the disconnect in Austria, and then we had, just being rear-ended going into turn 1. I was speaking to Danny Berezne. He just got caught out. The aerodynamics. I think Danny Berezne had better wings going into that corner, and it just caught him out, and he just got a little bit too late on the brakes. Just tagged Lucas Blakely, and unfortunately for Lucas, got completely rotated because of it and taken out, and really to no fault of his own. He just placed his car on the inside. Not too much of an issue there, but unfortunately, yeah, it's not been a season that Lucas will look back on, which is always a shame for a driver when you're the current reigning champion. You want to retain it, but unable to do that, as we get a wave there from the Haas engineer. As we're going to be getting ready, George, to go racing.
Yeah, there's definitely some activity as far as the drivers are concerned, so we are going to be moving onto the grid. I can see a few drivers selecting their strategies, ready to open things up, many of them further down opting for that hard tyre once again, as we now look to go racing. Now, here we go, with all 5 lights now lit. And it's pedal to the metal. And it is go, 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 go. Thomas Ronhart once again getting a brilliant launch off the line. And certainly Freddie Rasmussen thought that he might be able to challenge, but Simon Weigang, an even better start coming out of turn 2 through the Stellaresses, now through the long straight towards the Retro Imposter out of Curva de Sol. And Lucas Blakely also in the mix of this. He's trying to send his car down the inside, but still running wheel to wheel. Weigang and Rasmussen through the Retro Imposter they go. Rasmussen strikes back, and Blakely ushers his way into P3.
Yeah, Simon Weigang got compromised. He was on the outside going into the fourth corner, and because of that, Lucas Blakely saw the door wide open, stepped into it and moved himself onto the podium. There's a battle further down. Alfie Butcher moves up past the Ferrari of Nicolas Longue into 6th position. I can see a slight change of strategies. Everybody pretty much on the same, but Jarno Opmeer has opted to go for the medium tyres. How will that play out for his race as Danny Beresne was going 3 wide, was getting absolute sandwich between 2 Alpines at the back of the grid there. We're watching Ismail Fassi tucked up right behind the medium runner of Jarno Opmeer. He's going to be looking to try and jump a couple of positions, get himself up into 9th ahead of Jed Norgrove, and then right on the back of the last soft runner, which is Joni Tomala.
Could Brazil be Jarno Opmeer's saving grace? Love to see how this strategy works out. He jumps ahead of Fabrizio Donoso. He jumps ahead of Ulash Özildirim. He moves into the top 10. Does the Flying Dutchman. A great visit on the opening lap. Commences lap 2 of 36. Now in the points segment of this classification. Hasn't ever featured on the podium in this race. He might do so this time if he keeps this up. 9th place now for Opmeer as he dances past Jed Norgrove through turn 4.
That is exactly what he needed to do. Get past the hard runners, and that might be why he opted to go for the medium tyres. Saw a lot of drivers going for the hards and thought, you know what, my best opportunity to overtake these guys early and get behind the soft runners is to go for the medium tyres. No point really going for the softs because you're still going to be on the back end of the soft tyres and you'll be the first driver that is met once everyone goes through that first round of pit stops. So on the mediums, he can go slightly longer than the soft tyre runners and see what he can do from there. Just kind of throw something different into the mix, and let's see what comes out from Jarno Opmeer. He's always that driver that seems to be able to pull a strategy out of a hat, and it sometimes, most of the time, works out for him. Thomas Ronhaar, though, as we go on to the 3rd lap of this race, leads the way. Freddie Rasmussen 2nd, Lucas Blakely onto the podium, and Simon Weigang still holding on there in P4.
Yeah, fastest lap now belonging to Nicolas Longue, 109.956. DRS will now open here on lap 3 as we now commence here again around Sao Paulo. Here at the front, though, is Thomas Ronhaar. Freddie Rasmussen hot on his heels. Just breaking out of the aero as well. Lucas Blakely. They head through turn 4 yet again. And out of the Decidia de Lago section through turn 5 and then onwards through towards turn 6 at the Ferradura. As they now circulate their way through in towards the next heavy braking zone as well. Not quite as heavy as the one that's going to come next, but Este will tee you up through to the Pinarino corner, and then it's a trip to turn 10 where you'll meet Bico de Pato as well. You want to be cautious of oversteer at this particular section. It has got a few drivers in the past as they now hurtle up the hill and enter Junsao corner now. Heading out of this particular portion, they'll then meet the Archibald and Thomas Ronhaar will take them around for yet another lap. Rasmussen still on his coattails. Blakely also tracking the pair of them right now. Is yet to win a race this season, as we've alluded to. Brazil would certainly go down well if he could achieve it here. Of course, still plenty on the table. Even if the championship eludes him, there's still plenty to offer McLaren.
Drivers up and down the field pulling out of the slipstream at this stage of the race. If you're new to F1 Esports or F1 Sim Racing, first of all, welcome, and we're going to get a look at watching the race start replay. So let's see how it unfolded. Simon Weigang got a great launch, went right around the outside of Freddie Rasmussen this time around, held it around the outside. That allowed him to then have the inside through turn 2, but unfortunately it then goes left once again, so he's hung out to dry on the outside. Lucas had a little look into the middle, saw the gap closing, decided not to go for it, and instead I'm going to follow Freddie Rasmussen through turn 4. Weigang on the outside, that opened the door for Lucas Blakely, and he stepped into it and moved up onto the podium positions. Let's watch that on board now with Lucas Blakely. Watch his start. Nice and tidy on the start, and just keeping it behind these two. There's a battle going on. They're side by side. There's no way to get through at this stage of the race, so there's no point getting too close to them, and he's got a nice gap to the driver behind. Now he's trying to look for an opportunity. Try to keep it tight, but Freddie defended that very well on the inside. Had a look on the inside, but that gap is closing, and that would have been a disaster for all three of them. But instead, broke a little bit early, went for the switchback, found the gap on the inside. Wheel-to-wheel Simon Weigang. Great respect between the two drivers, and Weigang down into 4th position. But I wouldn't worry too much if I was Weigang at this stage. We've seen it in the past where you can win races from 4th position, stay in the train, work together with these drivers, and an opportunity could arise come the end of the race. But if you're wondering why they're pulling out the slipstream and why they don't want to get in that slipstream to really help them close up to the driver in front and maybe go for an overtake. One is because they're just not close enough to go for that overtake, so there's no point in doing so. But secondly, they don't want to overheat their engine because it's going to lose them top-end speed and they'll be unable to benefit from that. They can have a disadvantage later on in the race, and that will compromise them when the battling really starts to happen. At the moment, they're all just being really rather well behaved.
Yeah.
They're just, playing it nice and simple. No real need to sort of get the elbows out just yet. Get the pit stop strategies over and done with, and then, the gloves are off.
Well, generally everything tends to unfold in that second stint, doesn't it? When you come into box and the strategies start to unfold, and then it all comes down to those final laps. And Thomas Ronhaar be hoping that this will be the status quo for now, but immediately Rasmussen is going to get in the way of it as he looks to go down the inside, heading in towards the centre Estes. Rasmussen now moves up to P1, and I tell you what, Lucas Blakely, I think, might also be looking to try and taste some P2 action as he now makes his way out of the centre Estes, down the long straight. DRS will open up, not content with making the move as Ronhaar goes defensive, heading in towards the Retro Aposta. It will certainly be Rasmussen who takes them through.
Great move there from Fredrik Rasmussen to move up into the lead of this race. But of course, they weren't fighting too hard at this stage. There's no need to do so. Just trying to work together. I feel like I've got better straight line speed, or I feel like I've got better cornering ability. I'm going to get ahead of you here. You can tow behind me, and we can continue to work together. Lucas Blakely, though, was just having a little bit of a sniff. Was just getting his nose in there thinking, can I pick up an opportunity? It worked on Simon Weigang. Can I do it again? And it almost did, but Thomas Ronhaar was smart to it and able to defend that very well and hold on to P2. It's okay working together with each other, but you don't want to lose out too many positions. Let's take a look at a replay. This is of Alfie Butcher and his move, I believe, around the outside into turn one. We'll have the inside line into the next section of corners, side by side there with Alvaro Carreton, and tucks up behind. We'll now get the inside, I believe, and we're not going to find out what happened. That's the end of that replay there. But Alfie Butcher falling through the order now has been overtaken by Nicolas Longuet as well, and drops down into 7th position.
Yeah, 7th place here for Alfie Butcher. Only down 1 place since commencing here at this point now, as we see Otmir now currently going wheel to wheel here with Nicolas Longuet, and they'll tussle heading out of turn 4 through very shortly towards turn 5. And Alfie Butcher also looking to gamble to try and ascend his place. Is looking around the outside, heading through the Ferradura section in towards Este now. Jarno does have the better run on the inside, but Butcher with his nose in front, sending his car further forward than Jarno Otmir. Otmir denied and has to wait down in 8th place.
Yeah, it looks like the gap has broken slightly between Nicolas Longuet and the Williams of Alvaro Carreton. That was not good from Jarno Otmir, and it's looking like maybe the medium tyres are starting to work better than the soft. So that overtake, first of all, he's got it done on Joni Tormola. He went wheel to wheel with Alfie Butcher, now he's going to go again. He's using that ERS before they even get to the DRS section. He's already got the overtake done, and will maybe even be able to go on the attack of Nicolas Longuet. Up the inside, and yes, he does. Up the inside, it's 2 for 1, and he's moved himself up into 6th position. Could this be a race that Jarno Otmir is able to really hunt down the race leaders? Okay, we have still got a couple of drivers to overtake, but he's still in that DRS train, and look at the guys just moving out of the slipstream. Jarno Otmir now back within DRS contention of Alvaro Carreton, and he's going to look at him, figure out where he's weakest and where he can get that overtake done.
Yeah, and we did see as well Alfie Butcher losing out of place to Joni Tormola as well. This is a replay. Thomas Ronhaar taking, of course, the lead back away from Freddie Rasmussen, heading through towards the centre S's. Very, just job done, essentially, here at this point. That's exactly what they're going to be doing, similar to what we saw in Mexico. And again, it's Thomas Ronhaar back out in front, I'm sure, for exactly the same as they now head up through towards Junsao. Further down, Lucas Blakely still keeping tabs on them. I've got my eyes peeled here. Alfie Butcher has obviously had his struggles. He's now down to 9th place. Really impressed with Joni Tormola getting into the mix of this.
Yeah, Alfie Butcher's just kind of had a bit of a snowball effect, which is very easy to happen. As soon as one person finds their way through, it's very easy just to lose a couple more positions. He needs to kind of regain himself, get himself back into the rhythm of this circuit and tuck back into the slipstream and try and make those positions once again on Joni Tormola and then Nicolas Longuet to try and get back into the position that he was in earlier on. The driver's still unable to really make any overtakes in towards turn 4 at the moment. These guys just working together. Of course, they both have quite a bit to lose. Thomas Ronhaar wants this race win to get his championship back on track. Freddie Rasmussen also wants a great result to hold on to the lead of the championship. But neither of these two want to get the elbows out too much, because if they take each other out, Ron Haar's pretty much out of the championship. And for Freddie Rasmussen, it's a lot of points lost, and the opportunity for someone like Jarno Opmeer, who's having a strong race at the moment, to catch him up. However, for Freddie Rasmussen, he'll be safe in the knowledge that his second closest rival is still down in P16 after that unfortunate qualifying session. Barry Burman down in 16th still at the moment for Ferrari.
Yeah, I mean, this is still points gained for Freddie Rasmussen as it still stands. I mean, obviously Ron Haar is his only combatant here in this fight, but we all know that Ron Haar is on 95. Rasmussen still has that buffer, being on 130, as we now see them get closer again through towards the centre S's as they begin at their lap 10 of 36. Looking further down as well, Jed Norgrove getting closer to Alfie Butcher. Tourmalet still honing that 8th spot, which is where he was when he started this race. Rasmussen there just dragging himself to the left-hand side, just covering off Lucas Blakely somewhat. Once again, just breaking out of that aero in order to reduce the overheating, which you want to try and avoid, given the fact that when you come into Sector 3, the tyres are going to get chewed up when you start applying that accelerator pedal, coming out to some of those slow braking zones that these drivers make their way through as they now head down into this very delayed in-swinger, and then the hairpin will come up. And as they make their way through Bico de Pato, now we got, once again, Danny Berejnay on the attack. And this time displaces Patrick Schipos, who's now down in 18th place. Berejnay now on the tail of Burman.
Yeah, these drivers have been unable to break their way through the field. You look at Josh Edu, he's still down right at the back of the field. He's actually lost positions in this race. He started in 16th, now running in 20th. Danny Berejnay has managed to move up a couple of positions. Also, Barry Burman has moved up a couple of positions as well. But they're unable to break that ground on the likes of, Wilson Hughes, Fabrizio Donoso, Ismail Fassi, Ulas Zilderim and Jed Norgrove, who are also on the hard tyres, although some moves are being made now as Josh Edo moves himself and is fighting against Danny Berejnay. Somebody's off track there, and that's a 3-second time penalty for Edo, and Danny Berejnay running very wide out on the exit after the rejoin from Josh Edo. I'm sure they'll be having conversations in the stewards' room after that.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. A little bit of verbal coming from Danny Berejnay, who now makes his way back out onto the circuit, but he has lost places as a consequence of that moment heading through the centre S's. And Edo now in that 18th spot with Rasmussen, as we now look at the cameras panned across this middle sector. Lucas Blakely haunting his rear wing. Thomas Ron Haar getting a slight reprieve here. He's now managed to find half a second on the Red Bull in behind. Simon Weigang also in the midst of a quarter of a second of Lucas Blakely as they head out of Junsao and once again towards the home straight. Let's take a look at the replay. Now, this is of the moment where Berejnay, and it just looks like he lost the rear slightly, maybe a little bit of contact with the, is that the Alpine?
Yeah, the Alpine, just a small tap on the left rear of the Mercedes. That unsettled him, and then they all just kind of got caught up with each other, with Josh Edu running wide there, and then the consequence of Josh Edu coming back onto the track ran Danny Berejnay out wide as Patrick Schipos going from wheel to wheel slightly there with Barry Burman. These guys at the front, though, they're just maintaining at the moment. We spoke to Thomas Ron Haar about the last race, and he was just managing the tyres. That's all he was doing. Obviously, the soft tyres giving you good grip at the front. You can maintain your track position at the front. But then it's a case of, all right, let's just take it easy. Let's maintain these tyres, get to where we need to be, and in that's the case of making that pit stop. Now, you can already see the gaps. There was no way that they're going to be able to break away from the hard runners, especially now at this stage. Let's just back the whole pack up. There's no need to kind of really try and push and break away, burn the tyres, and then put us on the back foot later on. No, I'm just going to be nice and chill. I'm leading this race at the moment. If Freddie wants to get past, I know he's going to be doing exactly the same thing. We're going to work together, going to hold up this pack, and then really go for it later on in this race.
That potential for Jarno Opmeer to do a very aggressive, medium-soft strategy?
It'll be a tough one, but, not out of the question, because of course those hard runners are going to be doing that as well. And if maybe Jed Norgrove gets the overtake on him, Blakely is in one of our first drivers to make that jump and go into the box. But yeah, Jed Norgrove does overtake Jarno Opmeer. He can kind of slipstream off him for the rest of that stint until he comes into the box and then go on to maybe the softs later on.
Yeah, soon find out. In comes Lucas Blakely, and he will discard those tyres. Fresh mediums now on the Papaya McLaren, as now Opmeer moves up into third. So he's just managed to creep past Simon Weigang coming through Decidia de Largo and out of turn 5 through towards turn 6. Jarno Opmeer now up into third place. Freddie Rasmussen still leads. You've got Ron Haar in second now. Those two still continue to swap. Remember, Ron Haar had the lead only a lap or so ago and will now forego it to Rasmussen this time. Otmir now on the tail, hasn't lost or foregone any DRS despite the busy nature of the start of this lap for him. Here on lap 13, he'll look to persevere nonetheless and try and close up on the back of Ron Haar and his kick F1 car indeed. But soon to commence lap 14. I'm going to wonder whether, with Blakely boxing, does that mean those on the softs now have to respond?
I believe they will. I believe they will have to respond. We saw it from Thomas Ron Haar. He said that, you know, track position was important, as it looks like a bit of a dummy there. No, Rasmussen is into the box. Ron Haar continues on. What strategy are they going to be doing? They seem very good in terms of strategy for the kick team in the dry conditions. When the weather throws a few elements at them, they do struggle slightly, but in the dry settings they seem to get it spot on. So has Thomas Ron Haar done that once again? They're opting to go slightly longer this time around rather than get the track position that they were talking about last time, as Otmir got a double overtake, and we're going to get a replay of that right now. So let's take a look at Jarno Otmir and how he moved past. I believe this was up against Alvaro Carreton and Simon Weigand. Yes, it is. Those two so close together. Alvaro moves to the left-hand side, almost closes the door into the pit wall, but Jarno Otmir was able to get through and then switched it back on Simon Weigand. Got great traction off the corner, and with the DRS and with the extra bit of battery that he has at this stage of the race, was able just to blast past the Aston Martin. And this is looking very good for Jarno Otmir, because Weigand was in 4th position. This is a net 4th position at this stage of the race. The only driver who was boxed out of that in that sync as well is Alvaro Carreton, so he might get the jump on Jarno Otmir at this stage. And of course you've got to expect Simon Weigand and the rest of them to do so, because they should be boxing earlier, but who knows? Let's see what could happen. Jarno Otmir still continuing on, so does Thomas Ron Haar. Simon Weigand opting to come into the box, no, as does Thomas Ron Haar. So Ron Haar and Weigand into the box. They're going to be switching over to medium tyres, copying everybody else. Let's see where they come out. Those 3 drivers now, Lucas Blakely leading that train now. He managed to jump Freddie Rasmussen, so I'm sure that Ron Haar and Weigand will be at the back of this pack, but they need to really try and get back together as much as possible, because there's big gaps between those guys. Rasmussen's right on the back of Lucas Blakely. He's in DRS, he's fine, but Ron Haar needs to make sure he doesn't lose out too much time, and also needs to make sure he can try and get Alvaro Carreton. Look to the background there. Who's going to come out on top between Ron Haar and Carreton? They are will to will going down into turn 4, and it's Carreton who's just about going to get there, but that's because he's got much warmer tyres. Ron Haar's going to need to go through that heat cycle.
Yeah, and not forgetting Rasmussen still up there as well, but a great run from Carreton in his opening stint to gamble, and now ahead of Thomas Ron Haar, managing to pull off the undercut strategy in order to manipulate the timing screen in his favour. Now it's Ron Haar down in 18th place, and he's got Weigand just outside a second away from him as well, as they now head out of the middle sector. Very shortly they'll head up through towards sector 3 and out of Junsao corner. Once again, just tracking Carreton, getting back within that DRS window, and will very shortly commence their lap 16 of 36. After that, 20 remain, as we now see Rasmussen going on the attack of Lucas Blakely as well. Remember, of course, he pitted a lap prior to Rasmussen, and now Rasmussen takes that net lead advantage, takes the net lead of the race, coming through the centre S's on lap 16 of 36. He now needs to manage this strategy and hope that he'll prevail.
Yeah, Ron Haar needs to get a move on now to try and catch up to the back of Lucas Blakely and Freddie Rasmussen, because this race is going Rasmussen's way. He's going to catch up to the back of those hard tyre runners and try and get past them as soon as possible. However, if he doesn't get past them quickly, Ron Haar is going to be on his tail. Let's look at a replay of how Thomas Ron Haar overtook Alvaro Carreton. He also jumped a couple more positions as Alfie Butcher and Nicolas Longuet decided to jump off of those soft tyres and go onto the mediums, and that is how Thomas Ron Haar moved past Alvaro Carreton and now into 15th position. The gap between him and Lucas Blakely, 2.2 seconds. It's a tricky gap to catch up, especially as there's only a couple of laps difference in terms of tyre wear. You can see there, Freddie Rasmussen 2-lap-old tyres, Lucas Blakely on 3-lap, and Thomas Ron Haar 1 lap. It's now 2.1. It's cutting down slowly, but not as quick as he would have liked. Jarno Otmir still leading the way of this race. Who would have thought that with his grid position, getting knocked out in Q2, but he's absolutely flying at the moment, and he's put himself right at the front.
Yeah, he's going to be hoping that those on the hard tyres still maintain their pace levels, though Lucas Blakely has still got 7.8 seconds to find on Danny Berejnay. So it'd be interesting to see where or when Jarno decides to trigger the stop here at this point. I'm intrigued to see whether he does follow through and take these mediums for as long as possible, essentially trying a stint on the soft tyres to close out the race, but it is a risky strategy. It can go either of two ways, Hayden.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the medium run is a great option in the early phase of the race. It's allowed him to catch up and now, of course, be in the lead of this race and be fighting amongst those soft runners. I mean, he got to net P4 from that, but he doesn't have the option to go on to medium. So he can't box right now unless he's going to hards, and he'll still be not really on the right tyre. He needs to go later and really use those hard tyres later on in this race, or take them even further and go for softs. But at that point, you could have such a large gap to the medium tyre runners that are out there right now that's just impossible, but that you're really burning your tyres to try and get back, as it's an easy move here for Freddie Rasmussen to retake the lead, the net lead of this race, and overtake Lucas Blakely. But yeah, I mean, Otmar could then burn soft tyres to try and catch up, and by the time he's caught up to the back of the pack, those tyres have got to 25%, and they're not really at their best anymore, and it's going to be harder to make those inroads on those drivers on older tyres.
He needs those on the hards to actually cause a nuisance, I think, for those behind, basically to make his strategy work, as we now see Freddie Rasmussen now making his way out of turn 4 through turn 5. Still Blakely all over his tail. These two now starting to work together, and this gap is, I would say, extending, Hayden. 2 seconds.
Yeah, it is extending at the moment. You caught me just as I was about to take a sip of water.
Apologies.
But no, it is extending. I mean, Thomas Ronhaar, though, it's very close between those guys. 1.8 now, the difference. So Thomas Ronhaar maybe slightly better in the middle sector, maybe running higher downforce, and that's helping him through that section of the track. But then when we get to this section, of course, you know, Lucas Blakely has that advantage of DRS, and these two are working together, that it just kind of, you know, nullifies that advantage that he is gaining through sector 2, as they're just able to basically drive away from him in this area. Look at the gap now. So it's 1.7 going on to this start-finish straight. Lucas Blakely will use DRS, overtake, and move up ahead of Lucas Blakely. We've got Joni Tormela now into the box. He's going to fall down the order. Then they go through turns 2 and 1, 2 and 3. Then onto another DRS straight where Freddie Rasmussen's going to be able to close up to the back of Lucas. I don't think he'll go for the overtake, but he might do so. And the gap, though, not actually increasing that much. So Ronhaar really pushing at this stage of the race to try and close up. It's 1.4. He needs to do it before he runs out of battery. Otherwise, he's going to be a sitting duck for Alvaro Carreton.
Good news for Jarno Otmar. He's broken DRS on Jed Norgrove, 1.2 seconds. So that helps out the Dutchman, because now it basically leaves Jed Norgrove to kind of bottle up the pack further back, because Norgrove's not going to have any DRS, so he's going to have less pace on the straights. So the more the hard tyres battle, the less effective it's going to be for those on the mediums right now.
Yeah, they're just going through the final corner now, just through the DRS detection point, and they've got it. Yes, just over 1 second. So yes, this is really going to help out Jarno Otmar at this stage, but it's all about the driver behind them. They're coming into the pits. That gap is going to stay at that deficit, but for him, he needs these hard tyre runners to stay out for as long as possible, be a bit of a nuisance, as you say, get in the way of Lucas Blakely, Freddie Rasmussen, Thomas Ronhaar, Alvaro Carreton, hold them up as much as possible so that when he makes that pit stop, he's right up behind those guys on soft tyres and raring to go for it. Currently, Jarno Otmar leads the way, out of sync with the rest of them. The net leader so far is Lucas Blakely. He has made a pit stop. Everybody from Lucas Blakely down has made a pit stop, and they are in their net positions. It'll be interesting to see where those guys who are staying out a little bit longer, where they come out. You've got to expect they're probably going to be nearer the back of the pack, but you know, what can they then do? They'll be on better tyres. They'll have much more grip and really be able to go on the attack, as Thomas Ronhaar has closed up to the back of Freddie Rasmussen and Lucas Blakely. And let's see if he can really fight back and try and take the lead of the race once again.
Well, the gap between P1, just working it out roughly, approximately 10 seconds between those further back. In fact, it might have come in a little bit now. It's actually 8.2, so it continues to come down. And Freddie Rasmussen trying to bring that to work. Currently, if Jarno comes in now anyway, he's going to forfeit places. So I suppose he may as well stay out and go for that aggressive strat.
Never mind, George, because he's in the box.
Oh,
so
change of plan.
He just doesn't want to listen to you. Anything you say is completely wrong, apparently. According to Jarno Otmar, he's like, be quiet, George, I know what I'm doing. He's into the box, and he's on soft tyres. Look at that wheel drop.
I was
near enough the back of the field.
I was half right.
You are half right, but look at that gap. It was like 17 seconds, I think, or was that the deficit to the guys who have just come into the box, maybe? There is a 5-second gap between Wilson Hughes and Alfie Butcher. That's 11th and 12th, and we're actually watching Alfie Butcher try and go on the attack of Simon Weigang. Simon Weigang, great qualifying position, but in the race trim, maybe not quite working out for him. He's falling down the order. And this race, sadly, is slipping away for him. He's currently in net around 6th, 7th position. And he's got this guy, Jarno Opmeer. He's got a few cars in between him, but Jarno's going for it. He's on soft tyres. He's going to really close up to the back of this battle of Ulash Zilderim and Jed Norgrove, and then try and overtake. Of course, Jed Norgrove wasn't too far behind him before he pitted, so the undercut is very, very important. But how good are those tyres going to be later on in this race?
Is Danny Berejny going to be a pawn in the plan here?
That is a brilliant shout, and potentially, because he's way out of the mix.
Yeah.
But then also, you've got Josh Edu, and then you've also got Barry Burman. Never mind, because the ladies don't want to listen to us. We're completely wrong. We should stop dictating their strategy, because they don't want to know anything about it. As wheel to wheel goes Freddie Rasmussen as he moves into the net lead of this race. Okay, Josh Edu. He might become a bit of a nuisance because Freddie's leading at this stage. There's 4-second gap between them. All Josh needs to do, let Freddie through as they go in towards Sector 2, into those winding sections, and then just take his time letting the other guys through. There's no need for him to let him through. He's not a lap driver. He doesn't have to get out of the way, but of course he will do for his teammate and then hold up the rest of them. We've seen this before. Saudi Arabia. At that race, there was a battle behind Freddie Rasmussen. He was able to break away, and once he did that, it was an easy win for him. Will that happen again? Will Josh Edu come into play? Let's find out. He might just do what the Mercedes guys have done and just not listen to us.
Well, I'll tell you what we do have in front of us, folks. To be right on board with Thomas Ronhaar, we've got the reigning champion, currently sat in 5th on track. With Freddie Rasmussen, potential champion in waiting in 4th. But we've also got this man, Thomas Ronhaar, also potentially a champion in waiting, especially after winning back at Mexico. Would love to do it again. And this time, doing it after taking pole as well. Yet more points to add to his locker as they cross the line. Freddie Rasmussen will take the absolute lead of this race as all those on the hard tyres come in and box off their compounds now. And let's take a look at a replay. Wow. Oh. This was the moment where we saw the three of them come together. Rasmussen having to take almost evading action to try and avoid a potential collision with Lucas Blakely.
Yeah, slightly naughty there from Lucas Blakely. A late defence. It caught out Rasmussen, but luckily there was a gap to go to, so no wrongdoing there. And everybody got away with it, so they'll be happy. And they are currently leading this race. So Freddie Rasmussen leads the way, Lucas Blakely 2nd position, Thomas Ronhaar in 3rd, and it could be any one of these three that fights for the race win. Or could it be the driver in 4th position? Williams, I believe, have never won a race in the whole entirety of F1 sim racing. Or so Lucas Blakely so close to the back of Freddie Rasmussen there. I thought he was going to drive straight into the back of him. Looking further down the field, the driver to watch, Jarno Opmeer, on those soft tyres. How quickly can he get through? He's already overtaken the AlphaTauri of Jed Norgrove, and he's got Ulash Zilderim next up on the radar. Then there's a slight gap between him and Wilson Hughes, not too much. They will have DRS. The gap really is Joni Tomala to Simon Weigang. Weigang will want that gap to stay as it is so that he can hold on to some good points in 7th place.
Yeah, down into the centre S's once again as we take a rear wing view of Freddie Rasmussen's car. The Great Danes occupies the lead right now, looking for yet another victory, which would enhance it this season once again. If I'm not mistaken, it'll be his 4th this campaign, should he pull this off. Lucas Blakely, though, still remains in 2nd and just watching every move that Freddie makes. Thomas Ronhaar in the midst as well. Brendan Lee now moves up into 8th and pushes Joni Tomala down in 9th as well. Wilson Hughes in 11th. Jarno Opmeer in P10. Remember, still on those soft tyres and is in the points. But the big question is, how many more places can he get? This was the move for that P10 spot. In fact, I think he might have got a double again here, Hayden.
He loves 2 for 1, doesn't he? We keep on seeing this, and this is just intelligent driving. Save your battery for just a couple of laps and then get 2 into 1 instead of just burning through it, having no battery to play with, and then struggling behind drivers. The big moment of this race for Jarno Opmeer is when he gets past Brendan Lee, but Brendan Lee is doing a great job of catching up to the back of Simon Weigang. So if they can all work together to catch up to Simon Weigang, then it's game on in these last, what could be 10 laps remaining. They're going 3 wide once again, down in towards the first corner. Ronhaar around the outside of Freddie Rasmussen. Can he hold it? Ronhaar will then get the inside through turn 2, and he does. He's up in a 2nd position, and that is a great place for Ronhaar to be to try and fight for this race win.
You're absolutely right, and it means that Rasmussen loses out twice in this fracas, but he might come back again through turn 4. Ronhaar now trying to put the guard up down the inside, heading out of turn 5 very shortly, and they'll battle through the Ferragura. But Blakely now with the lead of the race. Rasmussen on the tail of the green kit car as they head through in towards sector 2. Blakely answering back, now leads the race. They have been quite touchy, quite aggressive down that long straight in towards turn 1 a few times now in this latter stint, and I think it shows this race is starting to hot up.
Yeah, they've been very well behaved, haven't they? And then, you know, slowly starting to get the elbows out. Update on Jarno Opmeer. He's moved himself up the order once again. Let's take a look. Jarno Opmeer. It's going to be another 2-for-1 situation. DRS right behind Joni Tomala. And then it's going to be Brendan Lee as well. They go 3 wide down in towards the first corner. Joni Tomala also overtakes the kick-salver car of Brendan Lee. Moves himself up into 9th position as well. But there goes Jarno Opmeer up into 8th and is now going to try and close in on Simon Weigang. Gap now just under 2 seconds. He needs to get a move on as quickly as he can. There's still 10 laps to go, so plenty of opportunities to work his way through the field. But the sooner he can catch up, the better chance he has of potentially even fighting these guys for the race win.
Well, he still has quite a few laps of effectiveness in those soft tyres, as now once again we have a look at 2 cars going wheel to wheel. Caraton entering the fight now for this podium place, as he now manages to get past Rasmussen, and Rasmussen loses out to Longue. The Ferrari has now managed to topple the Red Bull and now sees itself just outside the top 3.
You can't leave the door open through turn 4. How many times have we seen it that one driver leaves that door open and 2 drivers overtake them? You just cannot do it. And Rasmussen, unfortunately, has lost out massively there. He was in a situation working together so well with Ronha and Lucas Blakely, and now he's right on the back foot and potentially even under pressure from Alfie Butcher, who's another driver who's not afraid to get aggressive. He's got nothing to lose in this race, whereas Freddie has it all to lose. You know, he gets caught up in an incident, and there's a big chunk in that championship lead that he has falling away. It's Alfie Butcher, he's going to go for it. He's going for it round the outside, moves up into 5th position, and Freddie Rasmussen, I think, is going to drop down into 6th. They go wheel to wheel. Rasmussen has a little look into the first corner. Alfie leaves him room, but will get the inside line into turn 2, and now it's all up to Freddie Rasmussen. What has he got in his locker? Can he get the overtake back down in towards the 4th corner? You don't want to be put on the outside, because we saw how badly that worked out for him last time. He just doesn't have enough straight line speed to go for the overtake and has to settle for 6th position. Freddie Rasmussen was looking like potentially fighting for the race lead, and now that's a huge chunk of points lost to Thomas Ronha, who's in 2nd place fighting for it now.
Yeah, few laps where he was coveting this race lead. The game has all of a sudden changed for Freddie Rasmussen.
Look who's right behind them as well.
And yes, Jarno Opmeer not far behind. Simon Weigang also in between the pair. So I tell you what, folks, this just got interesting. We have got a Red Bull and a Mercedes starting to grow closer and closer. Old rivals in bids for World Championships back in 2020 and 2021, where Jarno Opmeer would take them both. One of them with this very team, Mercedes. As though he comes out of Junstau, he's going to look for a decent run here on Simon Weigang, and I'm absolutely certain with the power of DRS, utilising the aero, Thomas Ronha will ascend, jumps past Lucas Blakely as they head in towards turn 1. Here comes Jarno Opmeer, down the inside of the DRS, blast past Simon Weigang, and up next is the one, the only Great Dane. 2 warriors, 2 gladiators are about to collide.
It is on. Jarno Opmeer is in this fight for the race win. 28 laps out of 36. We've still got plenty of laps left to go in this race for Jarno Opmeer to slowly pick them off. And as you can see, he did that with not using too much of his battery as well. So he's still got plenty in the locker to try go on the attack of the rest of these drivers. And you know, the important one is going to be overtaking Freddie Rasmussen, of course, because he's leading the championship. And if Jarno Opmeer wants to catch up, he needs to get past, of course, the championship leader. But of course, he needs to move himself right up to the front to give him any chance of still having the opportunity to fight for the championship come the end of this event. He's quite a long way off coming into this race. Rasmussen 130 points, Jarno Opmeer on 73, just less than 60 points behind. So he's going to need the race win to really try and pull that back, and then a great last 3 races, of course. Here he goes on Freddie Rasmussen on the inside. They go wheel to wheel, and he's got the opportunity done. He's up the inside, and he's moved himself up in 6th position.
Yeah, Jarno Opmeer, of course, 2-time F1 sim racing world champion. Freddie Rasmussen has gone close on 3 occasions. 4 times he's been in the top 3 in the championship fight, but never won the title. It's Thomas Ronha who leads the way. Lucas Blakely in 2nd. Jarno again on the attack as he looks to bring down Alfie Butcher inside out of turn 4. He's going to try and hug that inside, but it will be Butcher who has the inside now through the Ferragura and holds position. Big Stern defending. Opmeer now looking again. Thought about it, but decided against it.
Yeah, this is not what Opmeer wants. He needs to be picking off these drivers as quickly as possible and not waste any vital energy in just going wheel to wheel with them. Alfie Butcher, great defending, of course. You know, he's going to want this P5. He doesn't care about Jarno Wotmer's title charge. He wants this result for himself. And of course, they're in their own battle with Haas, fighting with McLaren and Williams for that potential P5 in the Constructors' Championship. Let's see what Jarno Wotmer can do. He's got 19% battery to his name at the moment. Does he go for it down in towards turn 1, or does he still decide to save the battery for the time being? Wait for an opportunity later on. Maybe Alfie Butcher and Longe will go wheel to wheel, and an opportunity might open up for him there. It looks like potentially there was a switch of positions. No, Thomas Ronhaar still in the lead this race. Lucas Blakely second. Alvaro Carreton, great positioning for him at the moment. And you've got to really feel for someone like Simon Weigang, you know, starting third position, lost out very quickly to Lucas Blakely in this race, and now just seems to be falling down the order into P8 and has some drivers on better tyres that are going to be hunting him down behind. But let's see if he can still hold on to those vital points, of course, for Alpine in this Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, it's going to be important, obviously, for them. But as we take a look at the battle up at the front, we're riding on board with Lucas Blakely as he looks to continue his march and assault on Thomas Ronhaar. 6 laps to go. We're halfway through lap 13 now, and Alvaro Carreton having a big race as well once again. Someone who was actually finished on the podium before around this track back in 2019, finishing third on that occasion, and would love to finish there again, maybe even somewhere better. And I will say this, his tyres aren't too bad. He's got better tyres than Blakely. The one thing that has to be said, though, you've got to look at Longe and Butcher, only 14-lap old medium tyres. You do wonder whether Jarno Softs are going to start seeing the rough end now, Hayden.
Yeah, potentially those medium tyres could be working better. Time will tell. We've still got plenty of laps left to go in this race. 5-6 laps left to go in this Brazilian GP. And there is Jarno Wotmer, 6th position at the moment. Lucas Blakely just moving out the slipstream behind Thomas Ronhaar. I guess at this stage now it's basically like Mexico. You know, Lucas is now what Barry Broman was doing. He's waiting, he's saving up his battery, and will try and go for an attack going into the final lap of this race and trying to overtake that position. It's up to Ronhaar to try and break away on lap 35 through that midsection and try and get that gap. Let's have a look at a replay. This is Patrick Schipos going wheel to wheel with Ulash Zilderim, and that is Barry Broman just able to get that switchback maneuver, go right around the outside of the second hairpin and move himself now into 17th position. It's not been a great race for him, unfortunately being caught out by the wet weather early on in the qualifying session, and for all those drivers, the drivers said it, you know, Brazil is going to be a difficult track to kind of make moves and overtake on, and really apart from Jarno Wotmer, everyone's kind of been showcasing that.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, Wilson Hughes getting squeezed as well down the inside. Of course, he's been chased by Barry Burman at this point, and obviously Hughes looking to try and ascend, but look at Barry on his right-hand side. The Ferrari bursting here through towards turn 1 and through the center S's. It now might be Wilson Hughes who loses out. Barry's round! Goodness me! Barry Burman, the Scuderia Ferrari, has lost it at the center S's, and no doubt he's going to be absolutely gutted, and it just pretty much typifies their Sao Paulo race.
Yeah, that's really not going to help his championship chances. 93 points coming into this compared to Rasmussen's 130. He's going to score nothing, but he'll be looking at where Fredrik Rasmussen currently is in the standings. 7th place currently in this race. It's not quite a lot of points going to his name. You know, he'll only be scoring 6 points in this race compared to, you know, where he was in second position, which would have been 18. So it's a better place for him to be in currently, but he'll still not be happy. You know, he'll be wanting to be fighting up there, giving himself the best opportunity. He'll be resetting himself for tomorrow. It's a big day. We go to Qatar, we go to Las Vegas, plenty of opportunities. And we've seen it very quickly how this championship switches. There's a bit of a gap there between Alfie Butcher and Jarno Wotmer, but look at how much battery he has. 63%. He's building it up for 3-4 final laps in this race. As wheel to wheel goes Lucas Blakely and Thomas Ronhaar, unable to get the overtake, and that's going to compromise him and allow Alvaro Carreton the opportunity.
Yeah, and also, you know, very smart move from Otmir to try and save up that ERS for the latter points of the race, because he knows they're going to be squabbling over this lead battle. Here comes Carreton down the inside. Very aggressive maneuver, but he's going to hold it. An incredible effort. Blakely loses out now to Longe. Longe up to third. Carreton with a move out of nowhere.
there, coming through turn 4, and Blakely still under pressure as Butcher and Longuet come in on the attack.
That was naughty from Alvaro Carreton, sent it up the inside, slid him out of contact, and then just shoved Lucas Blakely off the circuit. Didn't care where he positioned his car, but he moves himself up into second place. There will definitely be discussions in the stewards' room, but we've seen it before. You know, that incident in Zandvoort between Barry Burmond and Freddie Rasmussen, where they came together, no further action as these two still continue to go wheel to wheel, and that's going to basically give the race win to either Thomas Ronhaar or Alvaro Carreton, because that gap is breaking away to nearly 1 second. They need to stop fighting and start focusing on the drivers further up. Nicolas Longuet now into third position, but here comes Alfie Butcher on the inside, and what can Jarno Opmeer do in this situation?
Well, he's got to gamble, surely, because he knows that they're going to become detached. He knows as well that if they lose DRS, there's no chance he's going to come back. But here now, we have a 3-wide scrap. Jarno's got the best seat in the house as they head down the long straight. He knows he can't afford to make a move now. It would be too overzealous. Blakely, though, has lost 2 places, and Alfie Butcher has managed to jump the pair of them and take P3.
That's a great opportunistic move there from Alfie Butcher to get onto the podium, but importantly, they did not lose DRS, so this is not over yet, especially for someone like Jarno Opmeer. Look at the battery, 80% currently for him. He's going to have a great opportunity because those guys were too busy squabbling with each other. They're probably going to have very little battery going onto that finish straight. We've seen 2-for-1s. Will we get a triple from Jarno Opmeer down that straight? He's got Lucas Blakely, Nicolas Longuet, Alfie Butcher looking vulnerable, and I'm sure he's going to want to take it. Let's watch out and see if he can do it.
Yeah, Ruben Pedreño now taking the fastest lap of the race. May as well do it. He's right at the tail of the field and has utilised those softs to take it as well. Lap 34, and Jarno's using that ERS that he has stored now over a few laps. He could yet get another double overtake. Longuet now covers it off, and now that does compromise his move that he had made initially on Blakely down the outside, heading in towards turn 1. He does lose it, but again will have DRS and still retains that ERS button again. This time Blakely can't hold on. Surely not. He swaps all over the back of Longuet, who relentlessly defends, but Opmeer sent wide out of turn 4, and he loses both positions and against Freddie Rasmussen.
Opmeer, as you can see, furious with that twice, moving under braking from Nicolas Longuet just in the braking zone. Just cuts across. He was defending the inside line. Opmeer thought he had an opportunity to send it around the outside with those grippier soft tyres, and unfortunately for him, Longuet just defends at that last moment, moves back over. He'll definitely be going straight to the stewards room after this one to discuss that, because that's cost him 2 positions. And look at the battery, he had so much in hand, and now it's only 32%. It's looking very unlikely that he's going to be able to really go for a charge for the race win, let alone even maybe the top 5.
Yeah, well, Thomas Ronhaar is someone who is surely going to celebrate potentially in a lap's time. Jarno Opmeer, with it all to do, currently sits on soft tyres that are aged. Freddie Rasmussen looking to restore at least some grace in this race. Round the outside of Lucas Blakely, through towards turn 1, the Red Bull and the McLaren meet again as they run side by side through the S's section. Can he hold on? Around the outside, he will have DRS as well, and enter Jarno Opmeer now. He's going to try and get the pair. The Mercedes coming back, an instant revival here for the Mercedes AMG, and I think he's got them. He's got them, Hayden.
Yes, he has. He's moved up into 5th position, but here comes Freddie Rasmussen looking back once again, unable to find his way through. Opmeer into 5th, Rasmussen into 6th, and Lucas Blakely has lost out and dropped down into 7th position. Simon Weigang having a battle of his own, holding on and switching back and forth with Joni Tomla for 8th and 9th, but look towards the front. Thomas Ronhaar still leading the way. Has Alvaro Carreton got the battery to go for an attack on this last lap? As a slight send there from Lucas Blakely, having a look on the back of Freddie Rasmussen, unable to do anything there through the final corner. Who's going to come out on top, Ronhaar or Carreton?
Well, Ronhaar now will take the trip up towards the line. Enough of a gap that has offered him this race win here in Brazil, and he's going to go back to back. It's a triple dream for Thomas Ronhaar. He wins the Sao Paulo Grand Prix with Alvaro Carreton in second. 3rd place, a tremendous drive from Alfie Butcher, but he has done it again. He ascends once more and closes the gap between he and Freddie Rasmussen. We have a championship fight, ladies and gentlemen.
We really do. There's a lot of aggression going on at the McLaren pit lane at the moment. Lucas Blakely furious with what happened in those final moments. Of course, it was him, it was Ronhaar, it was Rasmussen all fighting potentially for that race win, and then you find yourselves Lucas Blakely down in 8th position. We've got Freddie Rasmussen down in 6th position, and the only person that really benefited from that was Thomas Ronhaar. So this championship fully back on, and that's just what we were talking about, how quickly F1 sim racing can change. Freddie Rasmussen, amazing event 2. Looked like he was far clear. It was him. He had one hand basically on the championship. And Ron Haar, devastating event 2. Everything just didn't go his way. Now it seems to be the other way. 2 back-to-back race wins for Ron Haar. This championship is far from over, and there they are. The Kicksauber team will be very happy with that result. That's a lot of points caught up there from Thomas Ron Haar. We will get an updated classification of the standings later on in the show, so we can discuss that and see just how close they are. But there they are, celebrating with each other. I believe that's Alfie Butcher's dad that was going over to Thomas Ron Haar and congratulate him. Jarno Opmeer will not be happy with how that race unfolded at the end there. Just had a great opportunity, had the extra ERS to go for the attack, but was it over the line defending from Nicolas Longuet? I guess we can discuss that later on.
You do have to wonder. I'd imagine there will be plenty of work for the stewards making their way through, not only from what we saw back in Mexico, but we've now seen it doubled down again here at Brazil, including when Opmeer ran wide at turn 4. We do have to wonder a little bit about that. And what about Caraton's move, altogether? I mean, come on. I mean, we're going to be they're going to be very busy, I think. But that's win number 5 throughout his career, 12 podiums, along with the 7 poles that he has successfully obtained. I mean, what a performance. And Caraton back on the podium, his best results at Brazil. I said he finished 3rd in the very first time we raced here at this track back in 2019. He's gone one step further. Maybe next year he'll go one step further again. Who knows? But a tremendous result, one that Williams needed.
Williams still hunting that first race win, but, it was very, very close here today. I think just a poor exit off the final corner. It looked like Alfie Butcher potentially had the opportunity to go for the overtake, and maybe if he had a better exit, who knows what could have happened. Maybe he could have got Ron Haar down across the start-finish line. But this is important for Williams' championship hopes. They are in a fight with McLaren, with Haas as well, all for 5th position in the standings. And this is a great opportunity to score a lot of points. 18 points scored, and their closest rival, of course, Alfie Butcher, gets a great result in P3, but they are ahead of them in the championship. And then you've got Lucas Blakely in the McLaren, who were 4 points ahead going into this race. He scores down in 8th position. Ariana, welcome back.
Thank you. That was spicy. I think that there are going to be a few disappointed drivers after that, frustrated. Things just falling through the cracks there and things getting a little bit too heated. We saw, though, in Mexico, things were heating up. We saw the contact. We saw the drivers were really fighting for it. Maybe a bit too far in that one.
Yeah, I think there will definitely be discussions. Notably, Alvaro Caraton just kind of sent it up the inside and then forced Lucas Blakely off the circuit, and I assume that's why the frustration over there happened from Lucas Blakely. And then for Jarno Opmeer as well, 2 very experienced drivers that are fighting for quite a lot, to retain his championship or to at least get the best results he possibly can, so he's not so far down the order this season. But another one that's still trying to fight for the championship as well, and just a late braking maneuver, or late move under braking to block that overtake. He's going to be very, very frustrated with that for sure.
Absolutely. Well, it is Thomas Ron Haar who has taken victory once again, a double victory on day 1 of event 3. Let's have a little look at the race results.
Yeah, here we go. Here are the race results from Brazil, and it is Thomas Ron Haar who takes home the 25 points. Again, just another race where he had it under control from the get-go, working together with the front runners, but never really compromised or never really in doubt that he was going to be up at the front. Great result from Alvaro and also Alfie Butcher to put themselves on the podium for this race as well. Longuet, one of the only Ferraris kind of in that race today, but scores some good points. Jarno Opmeer, another race of what could have been. Had that contact not happened, could he have been maybe fighting for this race win? Who knows? But P5 picks up some good points and also a couple of points over championship leader Freddie Rasmussen, who falls down to 6th position in that race. 8 points scored still, but it's a lot of points difference between Ron Haar and Rasmussen, and Ron Haar has definitely been a strong driver today. Joni Tormler gets some great points. Those 6 points for him in 7th position. Simon Weigang, though, he'll be disappointed. He started in 3rd place. He does still score a point, but it is only 1 point for the Aston Martin team. Will be disappointed with that. Fabrizio Donoso just outside the points in 11th. Danny Beresne, a good recovery, but unfortunately no points in P12. And then further down the order, a couple of retirements. Ruben Pedreno and Barry Bromand. Unfortunately, they're not picking up a result in today's race. And of course, Josh Ido in the Red Bull 2. Sadly, with that qualifying mistake down the bottom of the order too.
For Barry Bromand, got to be tough that. But let's hear from those who won't be too disappointed. Claire has managed to catch up with our podium sitters.
Yes, indeed. I do have Alfie Butcher alongside me. Alfie, I think we were just speaking. It was chaotic. Where do we start? I think you were one of the only drivers to keep your nose clean.
Yeah, the first stint was a bit rocky at times. We got pushed down a few places through the chaos, but we had a good game plan. We decided to go long in the end. Paid off really well, obviously, because we pit and we were P10 and we ended up P3. So, yeah, it was definitely a chaotic one, but we used it to go in our favour and we came out with a podium.
It was a fascinating race for the different strategies going on all over, up and down the grid. But you made some spectacular moves as well. I mean, you must be quite proud of that entire race. You made some moves that maybe if you were fighting for a championship, you probably would have, maybe not gone for. It was really impressive.
Yeah, there was definitely one sketchy moment. I think it was 3 wide into turn 1, but yeah, I think it was a move that had to be done, and yeah, we came away with a podium because of that. So.
How do you get that confidence, though? You're 17 years old. I know you got your first win in Event 2. You must have been really working hard to build up that confidence, to be able to pull moves on some of the drivers that maybe have been in the championship for a bit longer than you.
Yeah, for sure. I think league racing kind of helps develop that confidence in racing. I've learned quite a lot over the past few months, and yeah, I think that's reflected in the performance today.
We've got a couple more days to go. We're looking forward to tomorrow. We're looking forward to Qatar. We're looking forward to a new track, Las Vegas as well.
Yeah, today was hectic, but I think tomorrow might be on another level. But yeah, Vegas is going to be an interesting one, and it's the same with Qatar. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully more results like this.
The gloves are really off with you guys. I'll let you get off and go celebrate with your team. Alvaro, let's bring you in. Congratulations. Wow. Just talk us through. How did you manage it?
Yeah, honestly, it feels so great. We had a really poor start of the season. Only 8 points in 7 races, but finally now I feel much more comfortable. Honestly, I knew I was fast here. The podium was possible, but I made some moves at the end, which eventually paid off and avoided me the chaos from behind. So yeah, really happy for it.
We just mentioned to Alfie there were some incredible moves that happened from Alfie, but of course yourself, to get yourself into second place, again fighting some of the real big players in this, you must be so proud of yourself.
Yeah, I mean, as I said before, it's been 2 years. It's my last podium, so I was feeling really bad, and I wanted this, and I knew this, I could do this. So yeah, hopefully we can continue this form in the next races tomorrow and last day.
How important was this for your confidence for the end of the season?
I mean, really, really important. Now I'm much more relaxed. I got a podium. I'm helping the team as well, not only Isma. So, yeah, hopefully tomorrow we can do the same.
I was going to say, we've got another qualifying session tomorrow afternoon to get back into the mind frame of qualifying and then into 2 races in the afternoon. Are we confident that there could be a win?
Obviously, a win is really difficult with these guys, but I was P2 today. Ultimately, it's the dream. Never won before, so yeah, hopefully one day I can reach that.
Well, 1 step away. That's pretty positive.
Yeah, hopefully next time.
Fingers crossed. Congratulations. Go and celebrate with your team. I believe that you have the winner, Mr. Thomas Ronhart, with you guys.
We do indeed. Huge congratulations to Alfie and Alvaro, and a huge congratulations to Thomas. Welcome back to the desk. A familiar scene for you today. How are you feeling? Did you expect to get a double victory on day 1 of Event 3?
I always try to expect it. Try and always do my best. Yeah, a perfect day in the office for me. Nearly getting maximum points. Of course, the fastest lap and the 1 pole missed, but yeah, can't complain with 52 points in the back this day. Yeah, after a rough day 2 and day 3 of the last event, to get these results is such a confidence boost heading towards the last 3 races. I don't know what the gap is right now, but I'm quite sure I've at least half the gap to Freddie. So yeah, game on.
The season's been very strong for you so far. Well, at least it's been very up and down, I suppose. But Event 2, were you just on the back burners a little bit, letting everyone catch up, have a little bit of a chance, and then Event 3? It's all-out warfare. You're going for it because, as you said, you nearly got maximum points. 1 point off of maximum points because 2 points. You missed out on the fastest lap here today and pole position earlier on in qualifying. But, that's a great start to Event 3. And we've still got 3 races left to go. A great opportunity still to win the championship. Yeah,
well, I wouldn't say I was, taking a back foot in Event 2. It's been really, really unlucky, those races. Of course, many things can go wrong in esports. Things can go your way, like I did today. Freddie, I guess, had some issues with ERS maybe throughout the race, which caused the let's say the alternative runners to catch up again. I think one of them was Jarno and a few others as well, but it was really tricky out there to like manage sort of when to overtake and when not around there, because it's a pretty hard track to overtake. But when I had the tyre advantage, hitting up 14, I believe, and Freddie and Lucas played at 13 and 12. Yeah, the advantage I had was quite big at the start, and that gave me a little bit of a margin to play around with sort of the ERS and tyres I had, and it played out in the end.
Yeah, I mean, off the back of that result now, you alluded to the points gap being shorter than ever. We now have, I believe, a fight on our hands, which is brilliant to see. It's been a hard year for you as well, given the fact that you've had your challenges. You've looked forward now. It's a different future ahead if you continue this, but come on, championship's got to be the goal, right?
I mean, I always try to say it to myself. I always do my best. Anything can happen, but of course the main target is P1 and P1 only.
Yeah. There you go. Can't see further than that.
Looking ahead to tomorrow now, I mean, this is starting your event off in the best possible way. How are you feeling about the two tracks that we're going to visit? Of course, both new ones.
They're two very different tracks. You'll see in interviews tomorrow, I think, as well. Qatar or Las Vegas is first.
Vegas first, yeah.
Vegas first, yeah.
Yeah, well, Vegas is going to be a chaos show.
Chaos, yeah. We all know.
We'll see what happens in that regard. So I think quality doesn't really matter too much in that regard. I think anyone can win, even P20 can win. So I'll say this right now, if P20 wins, then I'm not surprised because it's Vegas. But you still need to put it over course. Qatar, on the end, it's going to be important to do a quick quali. It's a completely opposite track to Las Vegas. A lot of high speed and medium speed corners. Track position is going to be key on Qatar, and strategy could be key in that as well. But you need to be on it. Yeah.
Well, we can't wait to see how you do, Thomas. Congratulations once again for both your victories today. Enjoy having a little bit of an unwind and celebration ahead of tomorrow. Thank you so much. We are now able to have a look at the standings after the end of day one. Guys, talk us through them.
Yeah, let's see how it all shapes up after two races today, one day into event 3. Freddie Rasmussen still leads the way, but look at that gap. It was 40 points going into event 3. Now it's only 18. That is very close between those two drivers. Barry, unfortunately, with that race today, it's going to be very difficult for him to get in that championship fight, but not impossible. We've seen how Thomas Ronhaar has been able to overcome those difficulties and get himself back in the fight. Who knows? The last 2 days of event 3, he could get himself in it as well. But for Jarno Opmeer, again, it's going to be difficult for him too. Alfie Butcher moves himself up in a P5. Strong season from the rookie. Nicholas Longuet in 6th. Lucas Blakely, reigning champion. He's going to forget about this season, move on to the next one, and hopefully go once again. 7th position for him. Ismail Fassi, another rookie in P8. And then Josh Edu with 9th. And Brendan Lee moves himself up into the top 10 after scoring a couple of points in this race. Danny Beresne in P11. With Alvaro Carreton, that 2nd position raises him into 12th position. Jake Benham will be in the car tomorrow, and Simon Weigand gets another point added to his name, but unfortunately for Aston Martin, they would have probably been hoping for slightly more after starting in 3rd position for this race. And then further down the field, Fabrizio Donoso, our last point scorer, with 1 point to his name, and then the drivers who have not scored, with Danny Moreno at the back of the standings.
Yeah, the constructor standings now as we move onwards, and kicking on. They're now up to 3rd ahead of Mercedes. Ferrari now in 2nd place in this championship fight with a reasonable gap between them and Kick, though it can be broken with one decent points finish for the Kick outfit. Still Red Bull consolidating the lead up at the front with 173, but just look at what this has done for Williams. Obviously the big point scored by Alvaro Carreton after that 2nd place. They're now up to 85, and Alpine still retaining that P9 spot despite Simon Weigand qualifying on the 2nd row, unfortunately losing out during the race.
Thank you very much. I mean, it's crazy to see just how much things have swung. We said at the start of the day, anything can happen in esports, and look at those gaps closing up. Marcel is back with us at the desk. Marcel, thoughts after that one?
I have no thoughts. That was mental. Honestly, like I was screaming up there. I can't believe that anyone could focus. I was literally like screaming at the drivers, do this, do that.
Louder than me.
But no, this race was amazing. I mean, especially seeing now Frederick finally is not a robot anymore. Like, he was until this point, and now we are getting to the stage again. where he feels the pressure, where he is not untouchable anymore. And earlier in Mexico, I was still saying this guy he's driving perfect, like he doesn't do any mistakes. And this, in my opinion, I don't know what happened, but from the outside it looked like an easy P2, P1 finish for him. Like this Blakely, Ronhar, Freddie train that looked like unbeatable. This was the set podium for me, and maybe Ottmar could have done something about it. But out of nowhere, Freddie was struggling, and then the championship was wide open. Now it's just 18 points. Before it looked like, okay, he has it in the bags, and especially after qualifying, I was thinking, oh, that's it. Like, if he doesn't do anything stupid, then we are here, and we are probably already saying, okay, Frederik Rasmussen is probably going to be crowned champion tomorrow, but now we have a fight again until the end, and I'm really glad that we have that. So, yeah.
So am I. We love a fight. We wanted to go down to the absolute wire. Marcel, talk us through the bits that stood out for you. Give us another little highlight reel.
Yes, so I've picked again my favorite moments of the race, and we have here already a big contact from Beresney in lap 11, so we're getting right into the action, and that is why we saw the drivers going off the track there. So this is actually what happened. We didn't see it live. Now we have Jarno Ottmar charging through the field on the mediums already, so this was not a soft stint, doing a double overtake, I think, on both Alvaro Cariton and Simon Weigang, who are obviously on the old soft compounds, but Jarno, this was another signature Jarno performance. Amazing from him, a bit unfortunate in the end, but you know, this is what happens in racing there. Now he's on a soft stint, another double overtake, flying past Ulas. Also, it seemed like he's in the W11, in the W12. He looked like Lewis Hamilton back in Brazil. He had so much more top speed. I think their setup must be super low drag, and he was just flying past these cars. Then here we have another great overtake from Thomas Ronner, who is our race winner tonight, with an amazing performance by him. Going alongside Frederik, good racing. Then he's squeezing him off a little bit, but I think he was ahead already. Then we are here with Frederik, and this is kind of, after the overtake from Thomas, is where everything fell apart. I don't know what happened there, but he got a little bit pushed off. It was still within the rules, he was on the white line, so Alvaro didn't do anything bad, and with that, Nico also went past. Now we have Bari with a big moment, and this is why he actually DNF'd from the race. He got tagged by, I think, the Alpine here, didn't leave any space. I think more of a racing incident. I don't know, we would have to slow that down to actually judge it. Now we're here with Lucas Blakely, seeing how Jarno is flying past, and then he's getting pushed off a little bit. This is why Jarno lost track again, track position to Ottmar and a couple of these guys. Then he's fighting back in the final lap against Blakely, and I couldn't believe it. Why? I don't know, Freddie is too kind. Why is he not closing the gap there? What is he doing? I love you, Freddie, but this is important. This is important, man. You can win the championship, please. No, honestly, my heart is bleeding when I see this. I'm like, oh no, this is like a lot of drivers.
A bit of sympathy for your former teammate.
Yeah, I mean, I love him. I love him, honestly, but these are the moments when you're like, okay, you saw it with Longer. He did it twice to Ottmar. Ottmar tried to pass him. He was always squeezing him in between. Yeah. As soon as he was alongside Blakely, he was blocking him in, and then Jarno couldn't do anything. He just burned his battery, which was perfect.
Was it legal? Huh? Is that allowed? Is it legal?
Yeah. I mean,
to close that door
as long as he's not pushing him off. If he's closing it before Jarno is somewhere alongside, then it's fair. And Freddie, he kind of looked like he would be going there, and Jarno had no battery. He would have easily blocked it off, and he would have probably stayed ahead, and Jarno wouldn't have been ahead of Freddie in the end. And with that, he lost another position. I think in the end, if Ronner continues with that form, we might see it going Dutch again. So
who knows?
Ooh, who knows indeed. Right, we did driver of the race for Mexico. Let's do it for Brazil before we wrap things up.
Yep, I'm glad I'm going first because it's Thomas Ronhar.
Yeah, you're claiming it.
Missed out on 2 points today. It's got to be driver of the day.
Okay, and George?
Alfie Butcher.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was really impressed with him. And I think the P3 just goes to show really what a raw talent he is. He took every opportunity, kept it so clean as well, kept himself out of danger, but did the necessary.
Marcel?
I mean, driver of the day is Ronner. I mean, he had 2 race wins. He did a stellar job. But driver of the race for Brazil, it has to be Dutch, but I don't know if... I mean, Jarno could have maybe fought for the win. Then he had the incident with Longe, which kind of tarnished his recovery drive. So I think I might have to go with Ronner again, but it's very close between Jarno and him. Jarno did, I think, an amazing job. He was the only one daring to do a complete different strategy, and that's what he always does. And for some reason, nobody thinks it will work. This crazy Dutch guy is always making it work.
Only man on the mediums.
And it's pissing you off. You know, if you're a driver there, you're like, there's no way he did it again. And you're always like, this guy is so lucky. No, it's not luck. The guy knows what he's doing.
He did it in Jeddah, didn't he?
Yeah, he's crazy. That's like the biggest quality of Jan Ortmer. It's not his speed. It's not his consistency. It's this not being scared of doing something different and being confident in it, and then he just pulls it off. It's mind-blowing what he's doing sometimes. So yeah,
incredible intelligence.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Right, before we finish, let's see who got our fastest lap, our DHL fastest lap of the race goes to Jarno Opmeer. There we go.
Of course.
Of course. Marcel's like, yeah, what else did you expect?
Say no more.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us today and taking us through day one of Event 3. Thank you to Claire for being out and about and getting all of those interviews for us. Thank you guys for joining us at home. There will be a link going into the chats where you can give us your feedback on today and on all of the events and what you enjoyed, what you didn't enjoy, what you want to see improved, or just, any other feedback you have. Make sure you join us again tomorrow because we get to do this all over again. Thank you very much for joining us. That's all for now.